welcome to day 2 of the TSN coverage of the Vale Renegades Open. I'm your host, Rob, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Nikos. Hello.
Hello, how are you all? So we're here at Firestorm Gaming Centre in not very sunny Wales.
No, it's very blustery outside and pretty wet.
It's blustery, but it's nowhere near as blustery as the combat that we're going to experience today at this intense, tight-knit gaming group.
Yeah, we've got 2 exciting games lined up for you guys in the 4th round of this event. So this is the penultimate round.
Yes. So unlike yesterday, we're going to start to zero in on the people who could potentially win the tournament. We've got a table now to show you some of the information and stats for this event. So the match win percentage for factions at this event are like blank, which is fun. Yeah. But
no one's winning, apparently.
I'm going to do it off the top of my head. I would assume, Nick, straight off the bat, that it's going to be Space Marines.
Yeah, they're going to have a pretty high win percentage.
Yeah, they're going to be doing really well.
Got a couple of anomalies in the mix. I think one of the Chaos players is in pretty well. And also we've got a Harlequins player.
Yeah, so to let you know what matchups we've got. So potentially in it to win the event, we've got an Aeldari force, but I'm going to describe it as a Harlequins force because
it's mostly Harlequins.
It's actually mostly Aeldari, but we're going to pretend it's not because I'm super pumped about there being any Harlequins even represented. They're up against traditional bad guys as of today.
Yeah.
Well, as of a while ago, Iron Warriors. Yeah. However, looking at the faction win ranking, so this is our faction win percentage. So Tau have got the best win percentage at the event as of round 3 yesterday. 66.6. Well, they're obviously tied with Chaos, or they're tied with a lot of people.
Joint 5th.
Yeah.
Five factions are all tied for the top spot.
Yeah, but if we look at those Adeptus Astartes, they've started to drop down to that very respectable 60% win rate, and I'm guessing everyone wants to push them down a little bit further.
Yeah, I think everyone, all the other factions are sort of ganging up on Marines at the minute.
Yeah, but going into round 3 yesterday, it very much looked like the Tyranids were doing pretty well, but then they both dropped their final game in round 3.
They dropped off a little bit,
which was really sad. But Chaos is one of the stories here to talk about. I'm very excited about that.
What about their Necrons, Rob?
They aren't there, Nick.
There.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. But Orcs are, they're there.
Yeah.
Like, just, there's not really much to say about them other than... however, I've heard that the Orcs are playing the Necrons on the bottom table. One of Orcs' wins yesterday was against Necrons.
So hopefully the Necron players learnt some things about that game.
I don't think they would have learned much. Don't get seized on.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
That's a great plan. Okay, so let's talk about some of the games that we've got today. So it's a 40-man event here at the Echoes of War 4. It's ITC. It's 40k. There are 5 rounds. This is round 4. One of these 2 tables is going to end up. So these are semi-finals, effectively. Going to end up with a person going forward into playing on our final game. So we're going to be covering these. Table 1. Oh yeah, let's go to table 1.
Okay.
Right. So we saw the legend. So we found out yesterday that we found out the legend of Liam Royal. We found out about him and what he's good at, and what he's good at is destroying vehicles.
Destroying vehicles so much that they can't not explode.
Yeah, he loves exploding vehicles. And look at right now being deployed against him is another legend, Richard Wyberry.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Wyberry, but he's got an Iron Warrior, showing that the Chaos Iron Marines are way better than the Imperial Iron Marines.
I hope so. I'm rooting for Richard in this event. I think he played really well on stream yesterday, so I'm hoping he shows us another good performance this morning.
Twitch chat, Iron, you excited?
Need to iron out these
yeah,
jokes.
we need to iron out these jokes. That's what we need to do. So the list you can see in the chat for this matchup. So you got those Crimson Fist. Crimson Fist yesterday, if we're talking about the list for a moment, one of the big things to talk about, obviously, is those those whirlwinds. There they are, all 3 of the whirlwinds, as you can see, located. They died pretty quickly yesterday, but they're going to do some pretty solid work.
Yeah, the Astraeus took them out pretty quickly.
However, they've got some nice line of sight blocking terrain there, but those 6 Centurions, they are going to do devastated Centurions. They are going to do some really good work. 6 Hurricane Bolters, 12 Heavy Bolters, all the strats put on them, doing mortal wounds to vehicles.
Yeah, and I do like the setup Liam's got with that as well, because he's got the banner, so when they die, they're going to have a shot on a 50% chance with a 4+. And then also he's got an apothecary backing him up as well. So even if they do die and shoot, they can come back again to have another chance of shooting again. It's kind of a bit of a Chumbawamba list.
Yeah, what, a load of combos.
Yeah.
You get knocked down, but you can get up again.
Yeah.
You're never going to keep me down.
Exactly.
And it's like the term Death Star isn't really like the right thing, but it definitely is like a lot of points.
It's a big unit and a lot of characters that are buffing that big unit.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's loads of that. And as we can see now, we're seeing this Deredeo deployed here. We're seeing 2 knights deployed at the top, and the other. So talking about the Iron Warriors.
So the players they're doing alternating deployment here. So it's not the Games Workshop style deployment that they released in the second to last chapter approved, where you deploy your whole army, then get choice of first or second turn. This is alternating deployment. So the player who finishes first will get a +1 to the roll. So that is going to be Richard, because he's got less units than Liam.
Okay, well, so he's up against Richard's army, really fun army, Iron Warriors army. So he's got those 3 Hellforged Deredeos that you can see there. And yesterday, kept off the board in this game is going to be those 3 Obliterators with Mark of Slanesh.
Yep.
And then there is 3 Knight Despoilers. There are 3 Knight Despoilers, and 2 of them are Dreadblades. So as you can see, they've gone down. So we're waiting for those Obliterators to come on. Look at those Centurions going into cover now. As you can see here, they're going to have...
I think this is one of those fabled ITC magic boxes. I'd imagine that they aren't standing on top. I'd imagine that they're just sitting
We'll find out from our table boss whether or not they're standing on top or they're inside. They are in the bottom. So what does that mean, Nick?
So that just means that they can't be shot at, basically. They could be charged because they fill the whole imprint of the building, so a knight could get within 1 inch of the edge and give him a good kick in. But it just means that Liam can keep him inside, keep him safe, out of line of sight from shooting, and then pop him up to the top level when he feels he's ready to have a good shot at the knights.
Which is going to be really difficult for these vehicles, because as we saw yesterday, they aren't as survivable as that Iron Warriors.
No.
However, going over to table 2, let's jump over to table 2 now. Let's talk about other matchup. Our lists will go in the chat now for you. So we're up against a Harlequins force against an Iron Warriors force. As you can see, these Jet Weaver Skybites, which will be doing mortal wounds with their haywire shots. I've run these before. They're incredibly fast. They're super fragile, but they can destroy vehicles. They're up against this Iron Warriors field, looking for that roll.
Just had the roll for first turn there.
The roll.
Who's it gone to? I think it's gone for Iron Hands.
Iron Hands.
Try to seize.
Oh, great shot, Scrivo. So Iron Hands are going to go first, and they are going to be looking to delete those. These are the threats. These are the threats here. So it's these Skyweaver jet bikes. They're going to be really scary. Now, the list has also got an Incarn in. So obviously when a unit dies, an Incarn's going to be put up. The Incarn's deployed at the back of the board, so it's not currently involved in the game. However, as soon as a unit dies, for either side, it's going to be able to teleport. They can't move after, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, so you can make some pretty clever, tricksy plays with that Yinkarn bouncing around the board.
Okay, so great work. So this is a really cool move. So and you see this a lot from Aeldari army. So the Harlequin army has immediately spent 1 CP to redeploy a unit. So a unit that previously was in range, potentially and most especially from the Relic Leviathan, which is terrifying.
Yeah, so it looks like he was setting those up. If he goes first turn, they're just going to scream forward, have a shot, maybe have a charge. But now he knows he's going second. He's being more defensive with it. So really smart play there.
Really smart. Yeah, it's a really pretty army. Look how nice this Harlequins army is. That is. I've started to put in. I've played with a Harlequin army before. It does not look anywhere near this pretty. A really tough army to when you want to actually burrow down and start getting those check works if you decide to do it. But intimidating and really hard to use. You generally tend to see them taken because of these haywires. Everything else is a little bit lackluster. However, there is also a not a Death Jester in there. That's not the unit I'm looking for.
Solitaire.
Is there a Solitaire in the list?
There is a Solitaire in the list.
Woohoo! Go faster!
One of the key units for
that's the word.
One of the key units for Stu is that he has his Warlord, which I think is the Troop Master. He's given him a Warlord trait. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but eventually it means that he can, when he advances, he avoids Overwatch. So Iron Hands have got a pretty deadly Overwatch. So I think this is like a meta choice that he's taking. So his Warlord can charge into combat, avoid all the Overwatch, and he can send his transports with Skyweaver bikes in to tag other units without taking any incoming fire.
So he has a lot of units hidden right now behind this line of sight blocking terrain here. So we'll get up from our table boss in a moment. But we're going over to table 1 now. We're going over to table 1 because just in deployment phase still, I know obviously the action's heating up on table 2. But in table 1, which is the Iron Warriors who are at the top, and then the Crimson Fists who are at the bottom.
It looks like they're just having a little bit of a measure of the Knight's base, and Liam... Yeah, so Liam is putting out some scouts, and they're just sort of measuring the Knight's base and checking and agreeing between themselves, stating their intent, whether the Knight can squeeze between the scouts and the ruins. So what Liam is doing here, he's putting the scout line here. This building here, the Knight can't fit through, so he's just making sure that just a Knight base gets blocked there and can't pass through this gap. So he's just hoping to build a bit of a wall, stop the Knights advancing too far to his line so he gets more rounds of shooting in before they actually reach him in the backfield. So we can see in the bottom right corner, this is where Liam's put his artillery pieces. And Richard has his Derriders on the left. So I think these went down early. So obviously having less drops is an advantage when you get the +1. But Liam's been able to put some cheap drops that he doesn't really care about, maybe, like, I don't know, some intercessors down here. See where Richard goes and then deploy further away from his Derriders and Knight in the centre.
Okay, so jumping over to table 2. Because we're going into the movement phase for what's happening here. We started to see we started to see a bunch of movement units moving forward, right? Those intercessors are moving forward, just trying to get in here and get into this L shape because as we can see from this movement, he's trying to score recon. Nick.
Yes, he's trying to get recon. So recon is we go back to the top round. Sorry, Scriver. So recon, if anyone doesn't know, you get 1 unit in each quarter. So he's got his infiltrators up here, I think, and then he's got his eliminator nudged into that one, and he's got some eliminators here, and obviously the rest of his army here. So these are. That's going to get him 1 point. In the new ITC rules, I think that have been released, they've said that you can get 2 recon points per turn potentially. So that's quite an exciting change. Jay is kind of blocked up by these line of sight blocking terrain here and here. It's going to get very difficult line of sight blocking here. This is why Stu has deployed his army in a bit of a castle over here, just making it as hard as possible for Jay to manoeuvre into position to get many shots. Obviously, he does have the whirlwinds that are going to be able to shoot him no matter what. So we'll see what Jay has planned. Good, can we go to table 1, please? So I think the Crimson Fist are going first, is that right? Yeah, so the Crimson Fist have won the first turn. Ooh, so a bad roll for Richard. Crimson Fist are going to go first, despite not having the +1 to their roll. So what he's going to be able to do with these scouts is, we'll see if he pushes them forward even more, just to again. So in deployment, he was limited the Knights to this sort of region, but now he's going to be able to move them up even further to block off their movement. I don't think he'll go for a charge there, but he might do. Okay, so he's just moving their scouts up. We'll see whether I presume he will bring his Centurions up now. He wants to get a shot in first on the Knight.
Well, so he wants to
hide.
Yeah, he wants to going first. What do you think about this situation?
Well, I think every Marine army which has got a horrendous amount of shooting, such as Liam's army, wants to go first because you want to give you. He could delete a Knight on Knight turn 1 quite easily with those Centurions. We saw the damage he did to an Astraeus yesterday. They're kind of comparable to a Knight because the Astraeus has got 24 wounds.
He's got the Void
Shield.
8,
Void Shield, so it's going
Ironstone.
to the, but Richard does have one of his Knights has got a 4+ invuln, but all the others have only got a 5+ invuln. Chaos Knights do have access. Oh, okay, so we just heard from the table boss that they can't rotate because of the damnations, apparently.
Yeah, no.
So that's because they're Dreadblades. So one of the Knights has got a 4+ invuln, the other two are Dreadblades. One of them has a +2 movement benefit, and the other one has reroll 1s against units which have wounds over 8, which are going to be the vehicles, and that's about it from Liam's army.
Yeah, I think having these fire lanes so available realistically, like, and you can look at the advantage. We go to the top down in a minute for deployment realistically. It just shows you like that most of the games that we've seen so far have had this like almost obnoxious amount of dead zone, right? where everything has just been happening around that, and that's true also for this game as well. The entire of this army is just been in this bit here. You've seen not a lot of like board space covered. Now, obviously, we haven't seen a lot of horde armies playing, but you know, we have seen some games where people have been mixing it up in the middle, very much so, especially with that King of the Hill available as an ITC secondary. But these available fire lines here just make quite clear, distinctive issues. It's interesting that this Dreadblade has been put into effect, like has been put there, available to be shot at. Does that make sense? Surely he knows the damage is coming in. Wouldn't you put it behind here?
Well, I think Richard looked like he was gambling on, because obviously he knew he was going to get the +1 to the first turn roll. Maybe he was just gambling on getting that. He had he was most likely to go first. So I think he was probably making that high risk, high reward play of not, if he was going too defensive and dig at the first turn, he couldn't do much with it. And the thermal cannons are relatively short range, only 36, which I suppose is about there actually. So yeah, maybe you're right. He could have been a bit more defensive with his deployment.
Yeah, he's got that movement as well. Yeah, exactly. he's got that movement. Sweet. So jumping over now to table 2, we started to move. We started to move into the shooting phase. So lightning fast reactions has been put on the bikes. That's going to give them -1 to hit. So they are now -1 to hit those interceptors. Sorry.
And Jay has a warlord trait on his Chaplain Dreadnought, which is targeting protocol. So you can pick one model's weapon, and you can reroll the hit and the wound rolls for it. So that's pretty good on the Storm Cannon Array, which has been activated on here, which I think, I'm not sure what it's in range of, to be honest. But that's pretty good on the Storm Cannon Array because you're getting 10 shots with that, hitting on 2s, wounding mostly on 3s and 2s. So yes, I'm not sure exactly what the Leviathan Dreadnought can see.
Okay, so Leviathan,
pretty short range. I presume if we can zoom out a little bit.
So Leviathan's out of range,
so
he can't shoot at anything. So we just find, I think the Whirlwinds are shooting. I think that's what our table boss is going to let us know now. They obviously don't need line of sight. They clearly are blocked up. Our 2 missiles are coming out from that Leviathan Dread though, and both of those have been saved. So not done the damage so far.
Ducking and weaving. To use the lightning fast reactions Eldar stratagem for an extra -1 to hit them.
The -1 to hit is fantastic. Well, we've already started to see a Skywave go down. Now, these are expensive, Nick. Yeah. I think at the minute they're 60 points. I'd have to double check
about that. Yeah.
About that. But
so one's gone down for the Chaplain Dread.
Yeah, Chaplain Dreadnought doing the work. He's going to take them out. But these are devastating to vehicles. Being able to go out, and they've got incredible range as well. Obviously.
How do they work, Rob?
Well, they move and they fire. So D6 shots. Obviously you're an Aeldari, so you hit on 3s, right? But any 4 pluses to wound, cause a mortal wound. Any 6s is D3 mortal wounds. Now, if you're able to get something like Doom off, you can then re-roll those wound rolls. So you could be very, very dangerous to vehicles with those. Problem is they're super fragile. They are 3 wounds each, but they have that 4-up invulnerable save. That lightning reflexes is what's going to really keep them alive in the game.
I think Harlequins do have. I'm not sure if it's troop dependent, but I think Harlequins do have access to a stratagem where if you advance a unit, you can give them a 3+ invulnerable save as well.
Yes.
But obviously, he's only got 2 units.
That's an infantry unit that does that. I think.
I'm pretty sure they can access that as well.
We will find out. That's a great question.
Well, the issue he has is he's got 2 units, so he can only do it on 1. So maybe he just be as aggressive with 1 unit. Keeps the other one back in reserve.
He just shot with the eliminators now. Couldn't hit any characters, and so he has just shot another bike. Clearly, Nick, I think it's quite obvious. Yeah, because all the characters are based here. They've got this unit of
infiltrators. Maybe have a bit of an assault there. They've moved in pretty aggressively.
I think that might be a mistake. However, the bikes are target priority number one.
Absolutely,
Absolutely target priority number one. And he's going to have to go. Let's talk about. We saw something yesterday actually with the Tau game, where the Tau army didn't engage quick enough. Now
The cautious Cold Stars.
The cautious Cold Stars was an entire thing. However, he's going to have to go super aggro with these. And the reason I say that is because the Whirlwinds and the Scorpiuses are just going to keep doing the damage over time. So he's going to lose. He's going to lose that matchup going into attrition. So he needs to go and go hard. That's what I think he's got to do. He can afford to lose them as well because they have a job. Their job. The only thing that they're really good at is dealing with vehicles. They don't have any other purpose. So, yeah.
The good thing that the Harlequin player does have against Iron Hands is obviously Iron Hands and Marines have got a lot of high AP weapons, but the Eldar Harlequin bikes have got invulnerable saves, so that's reducing the effectiveness of that AP to some extent. But the issue is that the Scorpius and the Whirlwinds, and particularly like the Stormfire cannons, are just going to give the Harlequin player so many saves to make that invulnerable save is not as valuable. Oh, and we've seen three bikes
go down to the Scorpius. Yeah, Scorpius fired off. That's 3 bikes, and that's what I mean. He's going to have to get in. He's going to have to get in early, which is why I think. Let's just go back, please, John. Which is why I think you've seen this Intercessor front line here, trying to screen out as much as possible. Realistically, though, he's offered up his Chaplain Dread and his Leviathan as targets, and obviously they are devastating. But because of the move and speed of Aeldari, they've got the options to keep away. You know, they can move here and they can be like, well, I'm screening out. But the problem is they're going to keep firing over.
You can't stop them firing.
Indirect fire. Tom Layton was saying on the Honest Wargamer show a few months ago, he was just like, it's the age of indirect fire. This is all we're going to see.
Yeah.
And it's true. This is, you know.
Yeah, and I think the problem with that is, particularly Whirlwind, like the Whirlwind Scorpius, which I believe is his, is range 60, so that has roughly there.
Right.
But these Whirlwinds are range 72. I really think that ranged artillery like that should have a minimum range as well. So you can have a big range, but then also have a minimum range that you can't fire in.
Yeah.
So that would actually give the opponent some sort of counterplay.
Okay, so another bike gone down. Pretty devastating first turn. There are another 2 bikes have gone down.
So
There's only 5. Now, let's jump over to table 1 because I know it's the end of Crimson Fist turn 1. They've just finished. And Nick, what is missing here?
There's a big gaping hole there.
There is a Knight Despoiler and it is gone.
So Richard has gone for Iconoclast Knights, which gives you the bonuses when you charge. Also gives you access to the 4+ invulnerable save Warlord item. Whereas the Infernal Household gives you the access to the Tyrannus style zombie strategy for Knights. So he could have used that on that night, but he's gone for Iconoclast.
Nick, now I'm just hearing from the tabletop. Do you know how many wounds that knight suffered from that unit of Devastators?
24.
32.
32.
32.
Was that through the invulnerable save?
That was through the invulnerable save. 32.
That's just the devastating amount of shots that these Centurions can put out. They all have Hurricane Bolters.
And then the other knight over here,
some overspill wounds.
That took 10 more wounds. So in total, he managed to do 44 wounds to toughness 8 with a 5+ invulnerable save in a single round of shooting. Those Crimson Fist Devastators are ridiculous.
Oh, there he is.
They are ridiculous. Like if you take, and also look at their like survivability as well, right? They're toughness 5.
Yeah, toughness 5, I think. 3 wounds.
3 wounds apiece.
4
wounds apiece with a armor save.
Definitely 2+ armor
of a
save.
2+. So they are like, if we compare them, if we jump over back to table 2, if we compare them to the fragility. If you take the fragility of those Harlequin jet bikes, so they have got that 4+ invulnerable save with 3 wounds, but they're only toughness 4. Yeah, they're only toughness 4. So really,
would you rather have a 4+ invuln or a 2+ armor save?
I'd rather be toughness 5 with a 2+ armor save, and especially with
you can get into cover,
and an additional wound, save. An additional wound as well. Yeah.
So you can get to cover with a 2+ armor save. That goes down to 1, and that's as effective as a 4+ invuln against AP 3 or more.
Really good. Yeah, and also, yes, they're not going to survive. Like versus. So let's go back to table 1 and let's have a look at it because ultimately, what do you think at this point Richard's going to be able to do?
So Richard really he needs to delete the Centurions. Else they're just going to keep doing that every single time. The issue he's got is that his obliterators are going to not be able to come down this turn. They're not got the space between drop pod rule where you can come down turn 1. So he's going to have to wait another turn for that to happen. So he's only going to have 2 knights and maybe his Deredeos to kill them. And will that be enough? Because it's not the same as like a Necron unit where you have to delete them all, as they all might come back. But this Apothecary here is going to bring maybe 1 back if he doesn't kill them all. So I think we're still in the Crimson Fish shooting phase. We thought 44 damage to knights was enough, but apparently there is still more.
Yeah, we're still in the shooting phase, Nick, actually. And this knight at the very top, which is now just been removed, did have 5 wounds, and we're still seeing more output there.
Oh, my hopes for Richard winning the tournament are fading away.
Okay, so that was from a Thunderfire Cannon, a squad of intercessors.
So
it's a horrific. Look, these guys have moved. Like, they aren't even in the midfield. The midfield being here. Look at their ability to project power. I honestly, Nick, seeing this is blowing my mind a little bit. There's also like a predominant amount of line of sight cover. Yeah. Like, I hadn't expected to see 2 knights deleted before.
No.
Like, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, maybe this is maybe this matchup could have been changed a little bit by the deployment type. I think they did just standard Dawn of War deployment.
They did.
So Richard didn't have any of these line of sight blocking features to hide himself behind. If, for example, we were corner to corner, he could have maybe stuck some knights here, which would have made it harder to be shot turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, he's just lost a significant part of the army. Despoilers are not crazy expensive. They're not loads, but they are, like, 2 of them is a big enough and significant loss, especially in output. And he can't trade blows. These Deredeos are, like, are not even as strong. They can't trade blows with the Devastators there.
I think, yeah, the difficulty is that because Liam does have the banner, which I'm a massive fan of in the Space Marine list, probably covering that area, so even in Richard's turn when he's shooting these Devastator Centurions, let's assume he kills them all, there's 6, on average 3 of them are going to shoot back, and 3 of them might be enough just to kill that knight.
Honestly, this is genuinely incredibly impressive output. It's scary. Let's go to table 2. Where we've seen 2 big charges. Obviously in the shooting phase, the Iron Warriors were at the bottom. They went first. We saw them delete 6 Aeldari, Harlequin jet bikes straight off the bat. So 7. We saw them delete 7, and then we've got those two scouting units infiltrating here. They've made their charge into this ruin at the top, and we've also seen the same unit. We've also seen a unit charge at the top left into the Incarn as well.
Oh wow, that's a bold move. I'm not sure.
No one has charged the Incarn,
okay.
sorry.
So that's just our Avengers there. So there's a unit of infiltrators in here. Looks like they're going to be fighting against the Dire Avengers.
Let's just jump over. Let's just jump over very quickly to. Let's just jump over quickly to table 1, because when we go over to table 1, not only are we seeing. Look at this. This is a great move.
So he's even. Sorry, go on.
No, you tell us.
He's just reducing the effectiveness of Richard's counterpunch now by stopping the Deredeo shooting, and it looks like he's going to try and trap the knight, but not tag it. So look, he's got to charge him with his scout, so he's tagging this Deredeo. He's only got a few attacks, it's not going to kill the whole unit, so they're still going to be there. And it looks like he's maybe just trying to block the movement of the knight this way. I'm not sure he's going to be able to stop it going that way. Yeah, so in Richard's turn, he's only going to have this 1 knight and that 1 Deredeo to shoot, and that is just not going to be enough, because this Deredeo is way out of sync with those Centurions, unfortunately.
Honestly, it's such a terrifying amount of output that I've just seen in the turn, that now I'm just looking at, like, don't forget there are obliterators off the board, right?
Yes, he's still got
But
those.
they're not coming back down in the next turn, they're not going to help in the next turn.
No, and there is a real chance that Liam could just delete Richard's army before those obliterators even have a chance to come on the board.
Honestly, like, their output is phenomenal. Those Crimson Fist Devastator Centurions are blowing my mind. I'm like, if I had that playstyle, I'd think about picking them up, because it's hilarious about that level of projection of power. Just terrifying. Just terrified. And also interesting watching the similarities, even though it's Crimson Fist on one table, Iron Hands on the other. And they're both against armies that have answers to their armour in the Despoilers, the Dorados. It's interesting. We've seen both of the Marine armies going first.
So we've had one army with the Knights being high toughness, invulnerable saves.
Gone.
And then the other army, which is the Eldar, decent
Minus to
invulnerable
hit.
saves and the minus to hit. But they've just punched straight through those walls.
Yeah, and in the on table 2 in the Aeldari game, you haven't even had the Relic Leviathan involved in the shooting, as we know that could just delete a bunch of stuff. There is obviously a huge point-sinking characters hidden at the back here, and also we've got the Incarn, so there's a bunch of stuff that's going to be able to get amongst it. Don't forget, there are pieces in play, but it's just devastating to watch. Again, look at this Marine army. It's just inside a very small area.
It's almost a mirror of the other game as well. Obviously, so the Iron Hands are here. The Crimson Fist were just in this corner, and like you said, Rob, they've barely moved. They've kind of done the same thing. Liam in the other game had some scouts charging up here, and Jay in this game has had his infiltrators here. So they're very sort of similar play styles that we're seeing from both these Marine armies, but from different chapters.
Yeah. So if you want the lists for the table 1, they'll come up in the chat now. Thanks for checking it out. If you want to check out all the lists from the event, obviously you can go into the Down Under Network pairings web browser, much better on a web browser than an app, and you can check out all the lists. It's way easy. You can do it from your phone, but it doesn't require an app.
Any device.
Any device.
Brilliant.
So we've just seen combats. We've seen the same, again, mirrored combats. We've seen a charge here.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And we've seen also a charge up here. The Dire Avengers not at the top. We've lost 2 of those here, and obviously the bikes are fine. They're going to be all good.
I don't believe... Oh, no, can Harlequin bikes retreat and charge?
Yeah, they got fly keyword.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just didn't know whether he was just trying to tag these here so Stu couldn't then move and charge in here to tag some stuff in combat.
Yeah, so those infiltrators engage here, those infiltrators engage there in the combat phase for both turns. However, if we jump over onto table 1, same thing, we're in the combat phase. The infiltrators were in combat here with the Deredeo, but the Deredeo, now he has obviously got some scouts. Some scouts.
Old infiltrators.
Old infiltrators. Yeah, they are in combat, but he hasn't got any arms, but he's not armless.
No.
Yeah, and he kicked him in the head, killed 2 of them.
Just have a little stomp.
Yeah, and looking to lock him up in combat there.
Oh no, he's got a little.
He's got this very famous V, so he's locked in, so he won't even be able to move out of combat. So you're going to have to rescue him in close combat there.
Well, I mean, he can charge the knight in, but is that a clever play from Liam? Sort of saying, if you want to release this Derrida, you've got to charge, and that means that the knight has to remain at the back of the board.
Yeah. Look at the top down again, like pinning in. Liam's playing a fantastic game. He's got the tool sets to do it, obviously, but he's doing incredibly well. So yeah, he's deleted 2 huge threats in those 2 spoilers, locked up a 3rd threat. There are now only 2 with the obliterators off the board, and like you said, controlling his movement as well. He's really controlled. In his first turn, he's eliminated everything other than this Dorado from being effective in the game. Yeah. That's massive.
Yeah,
that's incredibly impactful.
I think if I was Richard with this knight, what I would do is probably move. I don't know, maybe if you can move that way and still get a line of sight on these Centurions, have a shot there, fight these scouts, but then consolidate. So, assuming he kills those scouts, I think he should be able to kill 3 scouts, and then consolidate towards the enemy this way to hide behind this line of sight blocking.
Is anyone else home feeling despondent? I feel like this game can't go any other way than what we're expecting at this stage.
It's looking really tough for Richard. I guess clutching at straws, the advantage he does have, he's got a few units left, so it's going to be, I was going to say they're quite tough, but we've seen from Liam that it doesn't matter how tough things are, he can just shoot through.
And also, by the time those obliterators come down, he's going to have this unit of intercessors be able to move out and zone out the deep strike. He's going to have this unit zone out and move the deep strike. If I'm right in thinking, the obliterator's got 18-inch shooting range? I'm going to double check that.
I'm not sure we can check that.
The obliterator's 18 inches? 24. Okay,
24.
So he's got to be 9 away, so maybe he's going to be in range. But maybe he won't as well. And then the counterpunch, he has to drop down, and what he definitely has to do is he have to start deleting those devastated Centurions. How much is a box of Devastated Centurions? Because right now I'm going to go buy a couple of boxes.
45 or something like that.
What, for 3?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god, hilarious. Like... Because what's also nice is it's really low impact thinking. I sit, I shoot, I crack on with my day. Yeah, that's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good resource management.
Those hazard stripes are important on those Iron Warriors as well because they're in a hazardous situation.
They are.
Yeah.
It's warning their owner that you're in danger right now.
You're in danger of murder.
You're in danger.
Right, let's get back to table 2. I want to find out what's happening there because we now are into the Eldar. Well, we're about to be into the Eldar turn. We're still into this combat here. We lost 1 wound on that unit of infiltrators, and those infiltrators. The infiltrators got a CP spent on them.
Yeah.
To increase their damage prevention roll, so DPR. So disgust and resilience, feel no pain. You've all got a different name for it. We just call it DPR because then it's the same rule all the time.
Yeah.
For a 5-up. So just making them a little bit more survival. Again, looking to tag them in and make them a part of it. There is...
That's the Shadows here.
Shadows here. Love the Shadows here. He's got the ability to do D3 mortal wounds from his gun. He's also got 2 psychic powers as well. So there's some smite. So could have cleared them that way. It seems he hasn't elected... Oh, no. Yeah, so, but he hasn't... Obviously, we're not in the psychic phase yet. But he's also got these psychic power Twilight Pathways, which allows a unit to move twice, which would be really, really good. Again, I think that works on the bikes.
Yep.
Don't think that affects only infantry. So the ability to move and then move again. But what's his target going to be? Because he needs to shoot and kill everything in 1 round. What do you think? He's got Fire and Fade in his back pocket as well. He's got Fire and Fade.
Yeah, he can. If he can charge again after this move, then he can just concentrate on tagging. I would avoid the Chaplain Dreadnought, because you could tag that, stop it shooting, but then it's just going to punch you with its massive Power Fist. So that's pretty hazardous. I'd maybe try and come round this way. Maybe get around the right
decision. Yeah.
Then you can get a model here and model there, stop those whirlwind shooting, and also if you can maybe get into this zone here, you can stop the Leviathan shooting as well. But maybe he's going to try and haywire the Leviathan off. But then also, if Jay reacts with Cogitated Martyrdom, that will also get rid of the Incestors as well.
One of the biggest problems you also have when facing against the Iron Warrior Castle. Yeah, so this Shadows here, by the way, is also looking for that charge quite clearly. So that's what the situation is. They're just currently measuring the range to make sure that they can all shoot Leviathan. This top down, the top piece of that scenery is taller than the lower pieces of scenery, so there is an angle to shoot through, realistically. For me, I think that it seems like a decent play, but he's still going to have all of this indirect fire coming in, which... Right, okay, so we're just going over to table. We're going to go over... We'll find out what's happening there. So we are into the shooting phase for Chaos. This is all the movement that we're seeing. There isn't a lot that can engage. The only thing that did engage was these thermal cannons. These thermal cannons shot at the Centurions. The Centurions use transhuman physiology, which is that confuses me already, because you're already a superhuman, genetically engineered super soldier, but then you're like, no. It's time for you to start taking some real protein power.
A bit more.
Yeah. We're gonna bump you up. But it's okay. The Imperium doesn't allow
performance enhancing genetics.
That wasn't what I was going to say though. Like aberrants doesn't allow aberrants, yet it creates aberrants all the time. Whatever. Yeah.
Chaos mutations aren't okay. Genetically modified mutations are fine.
They're fine. Yeah, that's right. However, because he used that, only 2 wounds went through, and both of those wounds were saved. Ooh. Yeah, so this thermal cannon did nothing. So the entire shooting phase for not the entire shooting phase, because the Rodeo is.
So he's been quite defensive with the Derodeo, just basically because he's at risk of... Well, I was going to say he's at risk of losing his entire army and then the Obliterators and Chaos Lord not coming in. But because Liam has put these scouts around this... he can just fall back, can't he?
Can I be honest? Can be honest? We haven't even yet talked about the secondaries for this game, but I think they're pretty superfluous in Game 1. Like, I really feel like Rich is just fighting to survive. Going into this is. I mean, there's the Obliterators in these.
I think Headhunter was a mistake.
So he was optimistic. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Is that you've only given against this Iron Hands this year? Crimson Fist list. You're only going to get that if you're going to win the game. Maybe old school or something different would have been better to pick that you can score early on. Gangbusters, yes, because you're going to need to kill the Centurions. And Big Game Hunter, you want to kill the Whirlwinds. So that's a couple of easy points there. So the Knight player has just charged the Scouts. So it looks like he might be going for that plan I suggested earlier, charge the Scouts and then consolidating this way.
So yeah,
behind the big wall.
We've just over the shooting phase. The Derrideo killed a unit of Scouts that were down here.
Okay.
No, not down there. Sorry, just down here into this bottom L. So that means he's consolidated kill one, which is he needs, but he's not going to get kill more.
No, but he could be it. So I think so. Liam got 2 Knights. That's 2 kills. If he gets this second unit of Scouts, that's going to stop Liam getting kill more. So there we go. He has killed those Scouts and then consolidated behind that big line of sight blocking terrain.
Okay.
Will the Centurions? I think most of these Centurions are going to be out of action on the Knights.
They're not going to see him.
Maybe he'll sneak one in. If Richard is a wily fox, he might have had these weapons magnetised and you can turn them inwards. Or even backwards to reduce the line of sight profile of his Knights.
Who knows? Right, okay, so we're going to jump over now to Table 2, because we've had some movement in Table 2. Our table boss is going to get some information coming now live.
So effectively what I've been looking at is how the transports have been used in this situation, because inside of all the transports you had a squad of 5 troops. Inside 2 of them you also had a solitaire, and then the other one had the troop master. So 1 solitaire, 1 troop master, 5 squads of troops. The 2 transports for Star Weavers that you can see pushing up right now still are full of Harlequin troops. However, neither now have characters in. That's because if you look to the top right-hand side of your screen, you can see some infiltrators. And they are surrounded by 1 squad of troops and both the characters, the Troop Master and the Solitaire. So there you have the Harlequins relying upon those units to clear out those infiltrators in the back corner and make it hard to score recon. In the centre, you can see that it's pretty much left that well alone. You've got one of the transport coming over there to shoot it with its shuriken cannon, but you've also got the Yun Khan running up behind it. So that's the charge that's going to need to go off. Otherwise, he's using everything at his disposal to run straight into that Iron Hands army and try and push it off and cause as much damage as possible. I'm not sure it's going to be enough, though. I guess we'll see. What do you guys think?
Yeah, a lot of decisions to be made there by the Aeldari player, especially knowing that in the next turn, this indirect fire is definitely happening again. Those whirlwinds doing some gorgeous work. What do you think, Nick? Like, how do you feel about this?
Well, I think getting towards, obviously, when he deployed, he was at the back of the board, and that gave him less, like in the other game, less opportunity to hide behind line of sight blocking terrain. Now he's had a turn to move towards the centre. He can get closer to these line of sight blocking terrains to hide more of his stuff. And like you say, these artillery pieces are going to be the key players.
How good is Warhammer though, Nick? Like, this is just so much fun. Like, especially the parity between the two games.
Yeah.
Like, it's super tense. It's like the bullies turned up. Like, you're watching like a Justice Karma thread on Reddit, and you're like, come on, I just want to see it get a bloody nose or a punch in the face. I don't think it's going to happen in either game. But I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, everyone loves an underdog story, so we've got the Chaos and the Harlequin players. They're the underdogs at this moment in time.
I want it to happen. I want them to scream through the sky. I want it to be the joke of all jokes. I don't want the Harlequins to be triumphant. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would really like to see it. Really up for the Shadowseer as well. If the Shadowseer suits, he's going to be able to fire his illusion gun.
I think it was a good call that Stu is trying to achieve by killing these eliminators to make it much harder for Jay to get recon, which is one of his secondaries. He's still got these eliminators here, but as soon as he gets rid of everything apart from this bubble here, then Jay's going to have to push forward to get those recon points. But Jay probably he's got time. He's got 5 more turns to do that, so he can probably just kill Harlequins and then push out.
So the movement we're seeing now, obviously, is Twilight Pathways has been cast, so this unit is now moving. So they are now going to be lining up for whatever they want to shoot. We haven't seen anything like Doom go off, so it's just going to be a very important wound roll.
So I think what's going to happen is he's probably going to. I'd imagine he's going to do the stratagem to give him a 3+ invulnerable save. He'll probably do lightning fast reactions in Jay's turn as well, just to give him the best chance he can.
-1 to hit. Yeah,
Yeah,
3+ invulnerable
best
save.
chance you can to survive the turn.
But the problem is like this is what I wanted to touch on before, but we didn't get the opportunity to talk about. This Iron Warriors bunker isn't just, Iron Hands bunker isn't just these offensive output units that you've seen in these dreadnoughts or even the shooters. You've got obviously all of those bolter rounds, which there's a lot of bolter rounds, just a lot of dice anyway, you know, but it's way better than orc shooting. It's got loads of AP. It's genuinely really good. But it's those characters. You think about those characters as buff pieces, but those characters as buff pieces actually have got some pretty decent close combat weapons. You wouldn't send them against a knight.
I mean, even the intercessors with the new shock assault rule, they've got 3 attacks each in the first round of combat. So Stu really needs to be careful. He wants to tag as many units as possible, but also avoid.
Does Doom only now work for Craftworlds? It's FAQ.
So Doom only works on Craftworld units now.
Oh, boom.
So they can't get
Why
it,
that only nerfs Harlequins?
Yeah.
Oh, and Drakari as well. Yeah, but I don't mind them being nerfed.
that's fine.
That's actually genuinely very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Well, it's okay. The Harlequins day will come. I've decided that. It's probably going to be, I reckon, 2027. But that's my time. Look at that. There we go. Awesome army. Okay, yeah, but my point was all the characters that can countercharge in this, they've all got pretty decent combat profiles, where you wouldn't send them off to go and do jobs, but when they multi-charge or they, even if they just go in, there's enough output in. Look at the 1, 2, 3 that we can send in to do some work. Obviously, also you've got the Chaplain Dread. He's going to be able to do some work as well. Yeah. So thank you. There's an Iron Father up there as well. So that's a lot of close combat in your gun line. If you compare it with the Harlequin gun line, they've had to buy something. They've bought. They paid points for the Incarn there to do the gun line work.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had a bit of I think we're in the psychic phase now. I think so. So Stuart has a Farseer with Executioner and Doom. And also the Incarn has got a Smite and a Smite-ish power. I can't remember the exact name of it. So it looks like he's smited off a few of those infiltrators. There's only one left, which I presume the Incarn is going to go and eat in combat. So we're into the shooting phase now. Okay, so we've got some cheeky Dire Avengers here also chipping in on those infiltrators.
Okay, so we're into the shooting. Phase, and the real big shoot, the thing that we're looking forward to in this shooting phase here, So thank you very much, the Crumpeter. We're just going to get our CP updated. We're going to get our CP updated on table 2 because currently,
we've had some exciting out of movement phase movement. The Yin Khan, thanks to this infiltrator dying, has hopped. Not too far from there to there, but it looks about 12 inches closer than she was before. So that obviously will make it. Maybe these even eliminators might die at some point. She might even pop over here. And that'll be really devastating for the Iron Hands because then she won't be able to be targeted thanks to this nice up blocking terrain. And she might be able to get into the Iron Hands innards next turn.
Yes.
I don't think it's over. I mean, I think Stu lost 1 unit of bikes in his first turn, but that was only 1 unit lost. I'm not sure if these Dire Avengers died or not. But Stu has got a good chance of getting Killmore in this round.
Okay, so I want to find out. We haven't seen the jet bikes shoot, right?
No, not yet.
So wait for the jet bikes. So we're going to jump. We're going to jump over onto table 1 and just look what happened. So we moved into Crimson Fist turn 2 in their shooting phase. And we can start to see some of the dice rolls that are happening as well, which is quite exciting. We're seeing more of those Crimson Fists. So yeah, there's 8 wounds only left on the. None of those, John. It's none of those. Our tech man's just waiting to get his coffee this morning. Okay, so after the Contemptor fired and the 3 whirlwinds, it's only got 8 wounds left. So that indirect fire.
Is that the knight? Oh, the knight is only got
2
wounds left.
Ooh. 2 wounds left.
I think it looked game over turn 1 anyway. But if that knight goes down,
yeah,
it's That's effectively.
Which again, like
checkmate.
as we talked about, Liam not making any mistakes. He's creating those zone, so those deep striking obliterators are going to have to create the zone there, keep themselves safe.
And also we had a backup plan. If these infiltrators, I think these are intercessors here and here. Again, he's placed them cleverly, so a knight base can't fit through here. So basically, even if that knight was alive, it wouldn't be able to get into his centurions or whirlwinds here. But as we can see, it's just been taken off the table.
He has been taken off the table. I think we can pretty much call that game. Liam in a dominating display. I reckon Liam potentially is going to take this event out because what can survive against that? It's just horrific.
We might be looking at the two contenders for the final game.
So here we go. We've got some intercessors shooting into our custom dice tray there to hit, to wound. But that's pretty good wound roll as well. That's decent. Will the Dorado even make any saves? A few more not going through. Listen, Richard, if you're watching this back, you're having a tough time. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Hashtag the first turn problem.
Yeah. Right, so let's go back to table 2. The bikes are finally firing. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at, and they've elected to shoot at the Scorpius.
Ooh, so the
Relics
Scorpius, not the Leviathan. So it looks like, so the Scorpius is over here. Mm-hmm. I reckon that Stu is going for the plan of tagging this, and this. I reckon that's what they go for. He's going to hopefully get for a big charge into here, but the danger is he's going to have to fight this 10-man unit of intercessors. So he's have to be careful. Maybe if he gets if he gets a short charge, he can maybe go round that way and pile in round that way. But if he gets, I reckon he's got to go for the big charge if he can get it and get into that spot.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close. But if he gets in here, he's just going to get punched. I suppose then what it does is that allows him to be safe. Also, if he can do it, so only 8 wounds on the Scorpius from the mortal wound. So haven't even that hasn't killed it. I mean, his D6 shots are 1, right? So you can have the problem is you can have a bad turn. You know,
it's very luck dependent, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean 5d6. So you're looking at 14, 18 or so shots. You've got to hit, and like I said, only half of those are going to do mortal wounds. That's only going to be 9 mortal wounds, so it's not too bad. A couple of proc 6s, D3. So yeah, you would hope to take it out. Yeah, but he rolled 2 1s on his D6 shots out of the 5d6. You hate.
Oh, sorry. He had some D3 mortal wounds, and they were both 1s as well.
They're both 1s as well. So, but the problem is unlike we've seen with the Centurions, the survivability of these Harlequins is just outrageous. So we're into the charge phase now. I imagine he's just going to elect. He's just going to elect to charge here. Nick, I wonder if.
It's going to be really interesting to see where he goes into. Obviously, it's really dangerous charging your own hands because they're Overwatch. So he's got to limit himself on who he charges. He needs to nominate at least 1. So it'll be interesting to see where he's going to go. Oh, he's lost 1 from Overwatch. That's not good. Nope. Table boss, do we know what he charged?
Yeah, clearly he's going round. There's no way he's not going into the whirlwind. That's the right decision, because if he can go round and lock up the whirlwind, right, then that means that they're safe from being shot in the next turn. Yeah.
But like you said earlier, he's got all of these.
Yeah, that's why I was highlighting it. Like even as a tactic, it's not particularly good against this Iron Warriors castle because they've got so much that they can put in. And all of these effectively, they're not useless. They're providing buffs out and they're auras, but you can elect to like lose that. Move these forward a little bit, engage in some shooting, but still just fight here and do all of the combat. It's a really tough nut to crack, and the competitive community doesn't seem to have really cracked it yet, unless they've also brought the other tough nut. The bikes charge the whirlwind. It was the whirlwind that killed him in Overwatch as well. So there you go. So I imagine you're going to see him try. He's not looking to do any damage in there because they won't. Then he's going to pile in and lock him up. And that's the mission, realistically. Make it so that he can't.
But Stu might be going for a clever play here with the Yunkan. He might be. Maybe if his backup plan is if they do die, then the Yunkan might be able to teleport over here.
Yeah.
For his turn. So maybe he's hoping that they do die in combat, and then at the start of his turn, the Yunkan is here ready to go and
Wow,
Literally.
that's a big brain time right there,
It
Nick.
is, yeah.
Right, let's move over to table 1. Yeah, Liam is dominating in this situation. So the Obliterators landed at the back of the board.
Pretty far away.
They are very far away. Well, they can't be evolved. It's okay. Can I just point out that so far the Crimson Fist's army hasn't yet taken a... No, that's not true. They lost a unit of scouts.
2 units of scouts.
And a unit of infiltrators, yeah.
Oh, they're not down yet. They
but the
put some
guys
dice
that were
out.
meant to die have died.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing... everything that wasn't meant to die isn't dead. So...
Yeah. Scout really means you're the first wave. Over the
Yeah. Right, so yeah, the Obliterators are, it looks like, going to try and ignore the line of sight. So again, I'm quite impressed by Liam. He's thought this through. He's given himself this line of sight, or maybe opened himself up to it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so he's got this big line of sight blocking terrain here, so he's kind of doing like a pincer movement. Half of his damage output's over here, half of it's over here. So this is the only safe place, but if that is the case, then he can just go walk either side to get a shot on him.
Yeah, come on, Obliterators, you've got it. It's a really nice painted unit as well. Really nice. I'm a big fan of Richard's army. It looks really good. And are they? Come on, it's like a cat. If it sits, it fits. Let's go. Yeah, of course they're looking at the Mortis Dread. So looking at that Mortis Dread, and they're going to go. They're going to potentially, but they'll get them a kill on the board. Can we also look at the score at the end of turn 2? Richard has only got to have his turn, right? So Liam's had 2 to Richard's 1, but it's still 14-2.
Yeah, I think Richard. I don't see him getting the gangbusters at this point. Big Game Hunter, maybe that's why he's going for the Contemptor. Headhunter, I think that's out for this game. He can maybe get gangbusters late game, but that's going to be really, really tough.
How do we score gangbusters, Nick?
So gangbusters, you have to pick nominate a unit. No, I think don't think you have to nominate, but basically you get a point for every 6 wounds that you do on a unit that has 3 or more wounds.
Right. Okay.
Like
and it will be this block here.
Yes.
Okay. I really feel like when Richard was picking his secondaries, he really expected to have at least 3 knights on the board. Those 3 knights, by the way, responsible for 1 unit of scouts. Yeah. That's all they were responsible for. They're gone. And
so
honestly,
1,200 points for 55 points. That's a pretty bad trade.
That's a very bad trade.
But again, I think the deployment really didn't help Richard out. If he had more opportunity to hide his knights. These terrain pieces are as tall as a knight. So if he was able to get close,
couldn't he have just like literally cornered as well? Right? He's got his Obliterators in the back pocket. Then what he could have done now, with exactly what he's doing now. Right now, he's doing what he could have done before. Right? He could have just been here, done this exact same job without anything dying. Like with the knight still there, they're a threat. And then so he would have had to push out and create this line as well, and be conservative, and then run to the elves, use the elves to get out, and then maybe put all 3 knights in zone at the same time, and then maybe that's enough of a threat that the Crimson Fist couldn't have dealt with them in 1 turn. And also, if he'd have brought these down, maybe he would have spent CP trying to deal with the Obliterators, meaning he didn't have the CP to do the damage to the knights. I'm not saying I'm not trying to replay that game. I just don't know what the correct answer is. Right?
I think an issue that Richard would have had with that is because it was alternating deployment, and he has very few deployments. He's putting his cards out first, then Liam can react. Liam's just has got more throwaway deployments like the scouts. That doesn't really matter where the rest of his army is going. So Richard puts down a Derridio. His only chaff deployments were Derridios, really. So he's got 2 deployments before he has to reveal his cards.
Pretty good chaff.
Show where he's going to go. Yeah, pretty expensive as well. And not actually good at being chaff. So he has to reveal his hand earlier than Liam. So Liam saw where he was going to go and then deploys in the optimal position for his army. Whereas if it was deploy everything first, maybe he could have been... But again, I'd agree with you. Maybe he should have been way more defensive with his knights, deploying them really far back, forcing the Centurions. Maybe just putting 1 in each corner, really, really far back. So I'm not sure exactly what the range of Centurions are. I think they've got heavy bolters, which are 36. So I think that's a 40-inch range. So that's 12 inches. That's about 40 from there. So maybe if he's right at the back, that's outraging the Centurion. So that might have been the smarter play.
Well, agreed. So we'll see what he decides to elect to shoot in the shooting phase. Let's go back to table 2. So as we can see, this wrapped up whirlwind there has had its job. We're now at the end of the Asarani or the Aeldari turn. So the real question is what do we expect the Iron Hands to do? Are we going to see that big counter charge with the shooting? There's nothing available to be shot there from line of sight, but obviously we've got the 2 whirlwinds, and the Scorpius has been bracketed and is in a tough spot, but it's still alive. And Iron Hands, Nick, just correct me if I'm wrong. It's got the ability to heal wounds. The Iron Hands.
He's got the best tech marine in the business, Iron Father Ferios, and also Iron Hands vehicles are just a little bit more resilient than everyone else. They double their wounds on the damage table, so I don't feel that Scorpius is going to be affected at all by that damage. He really needs to just kill it in one.
Yeah, he did. I just want to let you know. And also Iron Hands are going to also count as having double wounds, so the bracket's not going to be as harsh. Yeah. Going back to table 2 though, very quickly, the Obliterators did fire, and there is a dead Mortis Dread. I mean, technically the guy was almost dead anyway.
Yeah, they just finished the job.
That engine has been imploded, and that was on their first round of shooting.
Yes.
So they still get to fire again, so they can be taken.
Cacophony.
So a squad of Intercessors has died, so now he's racking up kill more. And I really do think that early game strategy, like we said, of just hiding all those knights. But like you said, alternating deployment, maybe that's why he separated those knights out, hoping not to lose all of them.
Yeah, but he could have deployed them further back. He basically deployed them right on the 12-inch line.
But you could have just gone 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
Like your line of fight, you got one maybe there and potentially here. But what you aren't doing in this space is giving cover to the Centurions, and you aren't giving cover to the Centurions. Yeah. So all in all, this is a worse place to be putting models because you're giving your opponent an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely running 3 knights all in one space towards your opponent is a much scarier prospect than having them spread out, like you say, so you can deal with one at a time. And the knights got pretty good range, so the 12-inch move plus 36 with their thermal cannons, so it's 48-inch range. I mean, maybe even if he deploys over here, like you said, runs to this L and hides, and then pops out next turn.
Yeah, but I would never hide. That's not how I play. I'm an orc player, and in my opinion, those L's are losers. That's what they mean. If you're hiding in the L, you're a loser. That's what I think. Our Aeldari player Tom disagrees with that. He thinks hiding in the L's is the best tactic ever. Right, so going back to table 2. Okay, so we're now in the movement phase. We're only in turn 2, so it's a slower game. There's an hour and 45 left on the clock, yeah?
Yep.
But it's also been a pretty big phase as well. What we've seen is 7 of the 12 Harlequin jet bikes die.
Yep.
We saw another one die in Overwatch, so there is only 4 left.
Yeah.
They, though, are wrapping up that whirlwind in the bottom corner. The Iron Hands are now very aggressively pushing out. I reckon we're going to go see some of those counter charges like we talked about. We'll find out from our table boss how many wounds were healed that will happen at the end of the movement phase.
So also it looks like the Leviathan here. It's got around the corner to have a little shot on that Harlequin transport there. And maybe it looks like Jay is hoping that maybe this transport survives. Maybe he can get a little charge from his intercessors as well, just to get those forward for recon, because one of his secondaries is recon. He's only got 1 so far, so if he does get a charge off with those intercessors, they can get to that temple portal to help him score recon. But I think the other side of the board, top right as we're looking at it from the top down, is his issue for getting recon currently. And it looks like the Chaplain Dread looks like it's lined up for the counter charge.
Yeah, he's got this shot off. This is gonna be like another wipe. It's just the output is just phenomenal, right? Like
Yeah.
Like that turn 1, like, you know, they've got those 4 up invulnerable saves, -1 to hit. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. Still lost the entire bite unit, and the other unit lost another 1.
Yeah, because obviously the Space Marines got the change to the reroll hits rule for Chapter Master, so it's just you can reroll hits, not failed hits. So that -1 isn't affecting that at all. Well, it is affecting it, but not as big as before.
Yeah, it's just bonkers. Just like incredibly impressive to see that level of output, and cool. But I imagine if you're on the receiving end of that, you're not enjoying it. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for. Dave Fraser, I can see you there. I hope you're all enjoying the show. Let us know which of the 2 teams, which of the 4 factions you're rooting for. I would have really liked to have seen Chaos go through.
Yeah.
And I really rated the Iron Warriors game. We saw them play yesterday in round 3.
Yeah. It was an impressive display last time, but maybe he's just a bit scared of the Crimson Fist, and that sort of affected his decision making. Sometimes you just got to stay calm to make those decisions.
Yes.
Maybe that affected him a little bit. Who knows?
So jumping over onto table 1 right now, we're in the shooting phase. Is where we are, and we've seen some dice rolls. And the Iron Warriors are shooting.
Oh, Crimson Fists. Oh no, sorry, Iron Warriors. I'm getting confused.
The Iron Warriors.
Iron
Warriors, yeah.
Can we even call this an army at this point, Rob?
Well, they're doing pretty well. So they've wiped out this unit. They've wiped out the Dread. They wiped out another unit. They cleared the screens. Honestly, at this stage, I don't know why I wouldn't take another unit of these Obliterators, because they are doing work.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, the issue with taking multiple units is so you've got the endless cacophony buff to shoot twice with the Obliterators, so you can only use that on 1 unit. But maybe you have 2 units, 1 unit to come down turn 2, double shoot, then that dies, and then your other unit comes down turn 3, double shoots.
So the units left on the board for Richard, as far as I can see, if I can't see anything else on the board, is the Dorado Dreadnought and that unit of Obliterators. Is there anything else left on the board? We'll find out in a moment for Richard. No, not a single thing. Not a character. No one hiding.
There's a Chaos Lord here, but that's about it.
Okay, so there's a 1 Chaos Lord behind. So can 1 Dorado, 1 Chaos Lord, and 3 Obliterators stand up against 3 Whirlwinds?
And again, these Centurions, they've just hid back in their magic box. They're just chilling, having a few cokes, maybe a coffee.
But Richard did pick up Killmore that turn.
He did,
yeah. Mainly because Liam killed so much in the first turn. Yeah, that he didn't have as much to kill in turn 2.
Yeah, so maybe that's what you can do in this situation, Richard. Maybe he's got a couple of units. He's got not many kill units for Liam to get, but maybe if he can try and get those Killmores, but it's going to be really difficult at this point just with those 2 units.
It really is. Hello everyone in the chat, by the way. Neon Mentor, Lupa Kalal, Tenva8, and also Street Butter. I hope you're good. Yeah, it's looking for a very serious...
Bucket Ninja in there.
Bucket Ninja, big love.
That he was loving the coverage yesterday, so big shout out to him.
Pixel, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So we are at the Vale Renegades Echoes of War. Vale Renegades are a gaming club here in Wales. They've invited us over to do the coverage, which is very exciting. 40k coverage this year we're going to take very seriously. So I hope you're enjoying it. This is some of the formats. If you've got any feedback or thoughts, we'd love to hear it. We, of course, now are going to go to Table 2. Table 2, we are finally entering the Iron Hands shooting phase.
Something's missing there, Rob.
There is. the transport here is missing. It is gone. So that would be the Relic Leviathan Dreadnought that murdered them right there.
Okay, so the transport was destroyed. I think it was by the artillery pieces, but then there's some Harlequin troops just jumped out. But then the Leviathan saying, no, you're not allowed to survive. Yep,
so they're gone. Now the Incarn, we've still got the Incarn in play, as you can see right here. Like looking for a unit to die, and I think like Nick talked about, one of the big things that's happening over here is this locked up combat. Nick, we just saw something pretty big happen in the shooting phase.
Yes, the Leviathan did loads of damage onto these, made the Harlequin player Stu take 16 saves, and he did a heroic effort, passed loads of them, but he only failed 5, which was just enough to wipe the unit.
Yeah, really, really impressive. But this combat, thank you very much, John. So this combat here, all locked up, is good. We've talked about potentially the charge coming in, wiping out the unit. If the charge comes in, the Incarn could teleport here or near here, basically, right? And then it'll be into this back line with its guts. The issue is whether or not that Incarn can do enough in this Iron Warriors back line. So there's a Shadowseer here who previously took out a unit of Eliminators. It got shot at, but it survived all of the shots, which Shadowseer is one of my favourite narrative units.
Yeah.
Nick, they're super cool. The narrative of the Harlequins are amazing. They tricked an entire Chaos God into surviving, and then when you become and any of the Harlequins can be from either of the two Aeldari factions, and then they kind of take on the life of court jesters, and but they dance the dance fighting Slanesh. That's their gig. It's possibly my favourite narrative in 40k. Them or Mechanicus. Because I love the idea of rubbing oil on my PC to make it work.
Yeah.
Tried it before, doesn't work.
Light a candle.
Yeah.
Arrow 404. Try this candle.
Yeah, Arrow 404. Yeah, sometimes when the tech doesn't work, obviously for the stream, I put candles all over it. Yeah. Fire hazard to be sure, but hilarious fun.
There he is, the Iron Father himself.
What a badass! And those Tech Marines have to go. Those Tech Marines have to go to Mars, train, and it's quite interesting actually watching the Iron Hands have chapter masters that are Tech Marines, because normally when the Tech Marines come back from Mars, they have a little bit of an allegiance to the Mechanicus, and sometimes chapters and they have issues. They have issues with you having dual allegiances. Normally you're loyal to the chapter or you're not loyal at all, right?
So they start off in the chapter, they're all indoctrinated into the chapter's ways. They go off to Mars, they have a bit of a secondment over there with the Mechanical, and then they come back and they've had different ideas, and the chapter's like, no.
Yeah, not sure about that, sunshine. Not sure about that, you weird Tech Marine.
None of those ideas, please.
Yeah, none of those ideas. Yeah. Okay, and there's that Relic Leviathan Dreadnought, which has been a terror all weekend. I'm sure if you're into competitive 40k and you've been watching many streams, obviously this is the best one. But if you've been watching many, you've seen how terrifying these have been.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
Right, so just like we talked about, the biker squad have been charged by the chaplain, and
I think it's a captain and a chaplain dreadnought.
Oh yes, captain and chaplain.
Like we did say, the bikes have been given a 3+ invulnerable save, but that doesn't look like it's made much of a difference because 2 bikes have been removed
so far.
So
that's just from
one
2 combat
saves, and I think it does like it is a smash captain. And the chaplain power fist will just remove 1 bike for 1 failed
Imagine
save.
just having enough spare points in an incredibly dangerous army that you've just got a spare smash captain.
Just spare.
Just
in
spare,
case.
the Blood Angels are like, these are my threats, man.
Captain.
This is the only thing we've got. These are our threats.
Yeah.
And the Ihad's like, cool, we just add in this additional threat into our army. So the chaplain dreadnought as well there, he's looking not only to do some litanies, but he's also messing them up. And we just heard a CP reroll has been used on the saves on the bikes, which has left 1 bike in there. Now, they should be fine on their morale check. They've only lost 3 this turn, so it won't be an issue.
No.
However, what's that done? He's still kept himself some output. But the tank's going to fight him. Oh no, the Whirlwind is going to get into that close combat.
It's tried to reverse over him, but the bike's just flown above it. Doesn't matter.
Twitch Idiot says the Mechanicum. Oh, the tank did a wound. The Twitch Idiot is saying the Mechanicum are just the evolutionary conclusion of the salt crystal essential oil influence. Oh my god, that's so accurate. I hadn't even considered it. And orcs are really just the natural conclusion to flat earthers. So going back to table 1 now, we are in. Nick, look, where is that Deredeo?
Where is the army? I mean, it's hard to see because these are camoed with these hazard stripes here as well.
So it was the whirlwinds that took him out. That's what we're hearing from the table boss. So even though he was so far away, those whirlwinds were still able to take out a pretty tough vehicle. Like, Derrideos are not easy to get past. They've got a 5-up invulnerable save. They're toughness 7.
Yeah.
I think
14 wounds as well.
14 wounds. They're no slouches.
No.
They come in at 197 points, something like that.
Yeah, about 200 points, yeah.
Even the Chaos variant, and they just melted at range. Like,
and I think this game is an example of why you've seen Knights fall off the competitive scene a little bit, just because Marines come out, they just have an obscene amount of damage output that can just rip through Knights.
So my real question is, and I'm guessing I'm asking Table Boss and you, Nick, and everyone at home, all I'm seeing is this indirect fire back bunker units, right? And they're pretty devastating, and I'm yet to see an answer to them. How do I get
other indirect fire ones?
How do I just shoot them with other indirect fire ones? Is that it?
Think so.
What's the answer to get to them in the backfield? Like,
well, we've kind of seen an answer in the Harlequins game with the double move psychic power to get those Harlequin bites all the way across the board. You can kind of do a similar thing with.
But they didn't even do the job
well.
though. They didn't even. No. They can't reliably do the job, right? And there's so much reliability in what the other armies can do in 40k at the minute.
Yeah,
that's my question. Like, is it pop an assassin in there? Like, is there anything that can get in?
Well, maybe the only counterplay is going first. So if Richard went first, if he decided that the whirlwinds were his high priority, which I don't think they would have been in that situation, he could have maybe killed a couple of whirlwinds with his thermal cannons. However, because of obviously artillery, no line of sight needed, they most likely are going to be hidden behind some ruins like we can see there.
Okay, all right. Well, this is the interesting thing, and the fact that the chat is quiet means that absolutely no one's got an answer. Everyone's just scratching their heads. Like, what is my answer? So we're going into Chaos Space Marines turn 3 now, 15-5. He's got a 10-point lead to make up. Gangbusters, Big Game Hunter, and Headhunter, none of them probably available. He's now looking to see what...
I think at the minute he's just scrapping for every point he can get to improve his personal finish in the tournament.
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure he's abandoned all hope of winning this game. It's just, what can I get?
It's tense, right? It's really tense. Like, he's now sat on just 4 models, and it's only turn 3. It's pretty bonkers. Yeah, honestly, the output from Liam has been outrageous.
He will be at least well rested for his round 5 at least.
Yeah, he will. There's an hour and a half left on the clock, and it isn't looking good. To be fair, it's not looking good for the Aeldari either. So that parity between the two games has been interesting, and we're definitely, I think, going to see. Don't worry about that. That's wrong. We're definitely going to see the Crimson Fists versus the Iron Hands going into the final.
Yeah.
But they both play very similarly.
Yeah.
They've both got triple whirlwinds and or Scorpiuses. They've both got but one's got a Levy Dread, and then the other has got those Centurions.
Yeah, so basically the armies are very mirrored, so it's almost a mirror match, but obviously different chapters. And like I say, Rob, the whirlwinds mirrored, but the difference is Liam has gone for the Centurion bunker with the banner and the apothecary, and then Jay has the dreadnoughts with the Leviathan and the Chaplain dreadnought. So
really, it's a rock. It's a rock versus another rock in a hard place of rocks.
Yes.
Yeah. So the real question is which rock goes first. Is what we're hearing. I'm really impressed by these obliterators. Honestly, I think the unit comes in at I'm gonna say 290 points. I think that's what I read earlier. But I'm just going to double check. No, 285 points. Okay. But they've done some incredible work, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, they feel like the Chaos equivalent of Centurions, but they feel that they're more expensive than Centurions. Yeah, and you have to use quite a lot of CP to make them work as effectively.
So it's going to be Crimson Fist versus Iron Hands, right? That's what we're getting off. So it's going to be a fist off. So what's more powerful, a red fist or an iron hand? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah. The pimp glove. Right, let's go back to table 2, because that's what I want to check out.
I'm just comparing the points. The Centurion Devastator squad for 3, 210 points. 3 Obliterators, 300 points.
Yeah, the Dev squad's ludicrously good.
To me.
Really, really good. And I like that long-range backup as well to project power from the whirlwind. It's just
And
like we've
obviously
seen.
the new chapter tactics, the chapter doctrines, all that kind of stuff.
To be fair,
More
like
free
Lupa
rules.
Kalalala saying in the chat, the obliterators can deep strike, so you have that mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then also you only really.
Raven Guard, Centurions can effectively deep strike as well.
Yeah, but I think but also when you're talking about projecting power, yeah, you can deep strike those guys and you can shoot, but those Crimson Fists, you put them in the right place, they're going to just control huge swaths of the board early on, and you're not bringing them to bear early doors. That's good because you don't lose them to that indirect fire.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, Street Buddha's correct. Whatever happens, someone is going to get a full fisting. It's going to be fisticuffs at dawn. Yeah, a knuckle sandwich. So the Shadowseer, we're just hearing from the tabletop, Nick.
Okay, what's happening with the Shadowseer?
Well, Tom just told us, but we missed it.
Okay, the Shadowseer is going straight ham, straight into the pillar, and then it's going to charge probably the Intercessor squad.
Yeah, he is.
I think the Harlequin player is seen the comedy in this game. It's decided that this game is.
There we go. The Shadowseer is even trying to hide from us. He's going to try and go into those intercessors, I think.
I love Stu's basing. This basing is fantastic.
Wow, there we go. That's really exciting. We just heard a little bit of an update from Table 1. There's just been another point, so they've drawn Kilmore. I got to tell you that Richard has taken it really well. The drubbing that has just occurred there.
He's keeping his head cool, scoring as many points as he possibly can, even in a bad situation.
Yeah, everyone seems in a really good mood, which is really nice. And like this event, actually, met some treasures. Everyone has been radical. 100%.
Yeah, even Stu, he's lost most of his army. He's got a smile on his face. He's having fun playing.
Okay, so Centurions are Centurions. Oh no, that's on table 2. Sorry.
There we go. The Centurions are coming out to play again.
They're coming out. They're gonna. It's Centurions versus Obliterators. Who is gonna win? That's the real question. In the Pretty Wars, I reckon the Obliterators have got it because they are a much fancier looking unit.
They are a bit fancier, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty looking. They're cute. I'm a big fan. The Centurions are a bit more, stocky. They've got some real girth to them, but ultimately, yeah, they are chonky. They are so chonky boys. But what do you think? Twitch chat, who are you rooting for?
I thought they were coming out, but they look like they're still chilling in that little magic box.
Yeah. They're like that good morning presenter, just staying in there.
Yeah. For now, eventually, maybe later in the game.
Later in the game, 27 years down the line, he's going to get outside the box. Is the plan? I'm so sorry. I really should not have said that, but it was fun, and I enjoyed the joke. So,
speaking of jokes, the Harlequins, they are.
Oh my God! It's just a joke. Calm down. So say that again. Yeah, okay, so we've just had Twilight Pathways go off again. He tried to deny it, but it did not get denied.
Yeah, so Iron Hands have a stratagem where you can pick one of your units, any Iron Hands units that's within 24 of the Psyker. It's 2 CP, on a 4+ you can deny, but he had to use a reroll, so it gives you a 75% chance of denying a psychic power, but you only have one, so you've got to wait for the most important one. So that's the double move, warp time, that kind of spell, or doom, that kind of thing.
Doom. Yeah, but I don't think we're going to see that happen at all. But there's the Shadowseer. They've progressed really far, right? Again, trying to lock up those units in combat, but they're about to take a kick in here, right? Pardon me?
Okay.
So the shooting phase is about to go down.
Okay, so he's only got one Haywire bike left. Is he going to try and finish off the Scorpius? I'd imagine that's what he's going to go for because he's done some wounds on it already. Will he be able to finish that off? He's got this, one of his transports. It's only got 2 shuriken catapults, sorry. So it's not like one of these haywire cannons. They can have haywire cannons, but I think he's decided to go for the anti-troop option on that one. He's not got that much left. He does. I don't think he's got any troops in there. He does have the soaring spiked Harlequin mask, which gives them the ability to shoot from their transport, and any weapons count as pistols, and you can shoot. You can advance and shoot as normal.
So the Incarn is still in play, Nick. The Incarn's right here, ready to rock. When is it going to happen? When's the Incarn going to get in and get involved in this mess around?
Well, we were kind of hoping that it would swap with the Skyweaver jet bikes when that died, but he survived with one left. He used a CP reroll to save it, so I assume he wasn't planning that because it seems like he wanted that unit to survive, just to get one more shot from the Haywires. But like we said earlier, one bike with 1d6 shots isn't that great because you can just get a low roll. Pretty unlucky. It looks like Stu has, similar in the other game on Table 1, he's kind of lost all hope of winning this game and he's just trying to get as many points as he can. He's just throwing stuff forward.
So we're just going to get an update right now from our table boss. He's going to let us know what he thinks is going on Table 2, especially with his thoughts on the Incarn.
So what's essentially happening is here, you're seeing all the Eldar kind of run around the side of the Iron Hands army, and part of that is to try and cause as much damage as possible to box them in and make it difficult for them to get points later on in the game. But one of the side effects that this has is to conjoin with the Yunkarn. So what you want to do with the Yunkarn is it drops down when a unit dies, but you don't want to do it in your own turn, because if you do that, you can't then charge with it. So what you want ideally is to drop it down in your opponent's turn, but you also want to make sure it doesn't die. So if your unit dies near your opponent's army, but it's early on in the shooting phase, you don't want to drop the Yunkarn down, because there's still a lot of enemy units to shoot that can then remove your Yunkarn. So if you take a large number of units into your opponent's army, and you just say, well, on the last one I think is going to die, I'm then going to place the Yunkarn, that means that there isn't very much shooting to come back at the Yunkarn when you do that. It comes a bit of a gambit with, well, I'll just not shoot a unit then, but that means either way you're getting some kind of a benefit. That's pretty much how it works and how this may be used here and what we may be trying to do with the Harlequins, but we'll find out later on. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for the update. The tactical update from the tactical mastermind, this is Mr. Tom Layton.
Yeah. So Tom's been playing with this Aeldari force, especially with the Incarn coming out, for years. So, like, when you have that specialised in-game knowledge of some of these factions, you're like, yeah. And also not forgetting that Tom is from Sheffield, so the Incarn is Sheffieldian for Yunkarn, or Yunkarn is the Sheffield version for Incarn. But as in the incarnation of Death God Unade, 100%.
Okay.
The Incarn. That's the way you pronounce it. But yeah, when you've got that specialised in-game knowledge, like Tom has, having played this in competitive fields, there's just no way. There's just no way that commentators can know everything about every army in a way. So it's really nice having that in-field knowledge base. And definitely one of the things we're looking forward to in the future is developing a commentary team that have got specialised skill sets for a whole bunch of armies, right?
What my plan is, Rob, I'm planning to get a servo skull with another brain in and plant it into my brain, so I've got twice the amount of brain space.
Okay, so look at this Shadowseer. Shadowseer's done the work. He's locked up 2 of these. If only this could have happened 2 turns previous, that would have stopped a whole bunch of indirect fire.
Yeah, but I mean, if Stu had the time, if it was just a static shooting army with no line of sight artillery, he could have had time to coordinate this strike with the Solitaire and the bikes and maybe the Incarn as well. But because of the whirlwinds, his time to do that is limited. He's got to get in there, he's got to shoot it down straight away. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to coordinate the strike. Solitaire, unlikely to kill either one of those whirlwinds, I'd say, because they're pretty tough. He's more of an infantry mincing machine. But at least he has stopped him shooting that turn.
Right, on table 1, sorry, Nick, if we can just get the top down, you'll see that the game is over. The Obliterators died. They lost the match. That is a full wipe. So we might be getting an interview in a moment with those players. Very excited to talk to Liam as well from Goonhammer, because specifically, he might take out the event. It'd be cool to hear what his thoughts are going into round 5. Knowing he might be playing up against those Iron Hands lists in the future.
Yeah. How confident is he feeling about that matchup?
How confident is he? Has he designed his list to? Because these guys are pretty seriously good Hammer guys. Like, they write meta articles, they write a whole bunch of stuff you can go find on their website. I read them. I think they're fantastic.
Yep, really good articles.
Really, really good. So that, like, they know that they're coming into an environment where they're going to fight against these Iron Hand armies. So has he designed this list to specifically deal with that?
I imagine so. I think he looks like he's just designed a really, really strong first turn list, but also a list that can hide as well. Centurions are really resilient. The whirlwinds you can obviously hide. The infantry you can hide in sort of ITC environments using the ruins and the magic boxes. But again, he's also got, I really like the backup that he's got with the banner of the sort of ancient banner on the Centurions, making them shoot when they die. But then also the apothecary to bring them back as well. It's sort of a tactic that I've used before with my sort of Grav drop pods, dropping them all down with the banner. It's a really fun tactic to play as well. I like it.
Okay, so just going back to table 2 now, we've got an update right now coming in from our table boss.
Oh no, I was just saying that what's essentially happened is that the Eldar have not killed a unit this turn, which means that Jay now gets kill more, as well as the Eldar dropping the whole more point, which is kind of crucial because it's one of those points you expect to be picking up every turn. But unfortunately, they haven't been able to do it. Back to you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So the points is close, right? It's 7-5. Yeah, there's loads in it. Table 1's over, so we're going to be just sticking with this game for now.
It's close, but Stu, he's
like,
running out of stuff.
Yeah, Stu's running out of stuff, and he's lost loads of his tools. He lost his tools to deal with the threats, which Jacob...
Yeah.
And also problematically, with the Iron Hands army, is chip damage isn't going to be enough because they can heal up a bunch of those wounds. And we just heard that the last biker died to heroic intervention. So realistically...
Yeah, so if it's your turn and you're moving your units around characters, you really need to get yourself a 3-inch measuring stick and just ask your opponent where all the characters are, state your intent, measure it out and say, look, my unit is 3.1 inches away from all of your characters, else that will happen. You'll heroically intervene, you get heroically intervened into, particularly around marine armies with like a Chaplain Dread or Smash Captains, etc., or Ferios, he's pretty beefy in combat. They're just sort of little tiny things you can put into your game to just avoid taking damage in your turn, because that's sort of out of sequence. If you make your opponent have to do the work in their turn, that's obviously benefiting you.
Yeah, look, there's nothing that we can't say that hasn't been said before in WhatsApp groups, Facebook message groups, online, in articles. This army is just an incredibly tough nut to crack. Mm-hmm. And the reason, you need only go on the 40k stat center, especially for ITC, but it takes in all stats as well, and go look at the Space Marine win rate, and especially the Iron Hands win rate. The whole competitive community doesn't really have an answer for how to crack this nut. Yeah.
No.
Like that's just what the numbers say.
Yeah.
You're all good in your gaming groups home saying, yeah, I could deal with this all day long. The raw numbers say that you can't. And this is how kind of all kind of came about from Games Workshop wanting, as we all want Space Marines to be competitive, because prior to the new Space Marine Codex, they weren't particularly competitive. They had a few builds that were okay, mainly sort of Gulliman, car parks, etc. But the Games Workshop rules writers decided they wanted to give Marines a bit of a boost with the new Space Marine Codex and all the supplements, which was a cool idea, and we've all loved playing it, but they've turned them up. They love the phrase turning up to 11. They've kind of turned it to 15. Well, they
to wind it back again.
I FAQ'd it down to a 13.
Oh, okay.
But then that's unlucky for everyone.
They still need to wind it down a little bit more.
But then what's cool is like we just talked about these two games that we've just seen in parity, and I do like seeing the two games in parity leading up to the final, right? We've seen their playstyle, we've seen how they act. Let's see how that's going to... The two boards that we've seen have been mirrors of each other, so they've been identical. So, like, the real question is for you guys watching at home and for us. So, realistically, how do we combat that? Like, or how are they going to play against each other? Are they both going to sit in these corners like this? And great shot there, John. I apologise about that, but are they both going to sit in their corners like this and shoot over each other? They've both got indirect fire. Is it just who goes first wins?
Quite possibly, but It's going to be really, really interesting to see because I think the Iron Hands might have the edge in terms of they've got more resilient. So even if their tanks are sort of taken down almost to death, they're going to be still quite effective because of their doubling of the damage chart. But obviously the Crimson Fists, their tactical doctrine is extra damage versus vehicles. So if anyone is going to be able to kill Iron Hands vehicles, it's going to be them or Imperial Fists.
So Tenerife is saying in the chat, this is an interesting point. I'm not sure about its veracity, but one way to rain down Iron Hands, he thinks, is to play 40k rather than ITC. The win rate goes down quite a lot, but still too high, but lower than ITC. It'd be interesting to see what whether or not that's the case. We did obviously see the Warhammer World GT Heat recently, and that obviously is just the Games Workshop core missions from Chapter Approved. We saw Simon Prittis win with 180 Orc boys. A horde list, and that's because of
I
the
call
weapon
that list
loadout.
the backbreaker.
The backbreaker.
You've got to lean over the table a lot.
And did you said that there was a reason for that, especially with the gun options that Iron Hands Intercessors are taking?
Yeah, so Intercessor Iron Hands usually will have Stalker Bolt Rifles because they're heavy weapons, so you get the natural reroll ones buff, and obviously you start in the Devastating Doctrine, so it makes them AP 2 to 3. And Orcs don't necessarily. So the maximum shot from 10 Intercessors is 10, rather than the Bolt Carbine, which you can have Rapid Fire 2 or 4 using the Stratagem, which is good for clearing hordes. So most people were playing Iron Hands or playing to beat Iron Hands, so you don't need lots of horde clearing units. So Simon was able to counteract the meta armies by just taking too many bodies for Iron Hand units to finish off.
Yeah. So in a moment we're going to be getting we're going to get an interview.
Yep.
I think first up is First up, we got Tom now with an interview. Yeah, live.
Very much, guys. So I'm here with Liam Royal, who's just won on table 1 against the Warriors. Turns out that Imperial Fist successors do a lot of damage to vehicles.
Yeah, it's kind of cool having +1 damage to vehicles. That's really handy, especially on heavy bolters, on Centurions.
So which stratagems were you using when you were firing your Centurions turn 1 to kill 2 knights?
So the Centurions take the +1 to hit buff from the Chaplain, the +1 to wound closest visible on the Prayer, and then they take Tank Hunters as well. So they're hitting on 2s, re-rolling with exploding 6s, then wounding on 3s and re-rolling 1s from the Eye of Hypnoth on the Phobos Captain.
Nice, that's a pretty cool combat. And did you really expect to remove both of the knights turn 1, or were you expecting maybe 1 and then damage 1? Because you were screening across quite a lot, implying that you were expecting, in case they do live, you've got something blocking them just in case.
Yeah, no, I was definitely expecting to kill 1. The Sense almost guaranteed kill a knight if they get it. And the second one, it kind of depends. The Contemptor's been underperforming, so I think he did 10. And I was thinking I probably wasn't going to kill a second one at that point. But the Whirlwinds came through. When they're 3 damage as well, they just kind of pound through, even on the 5s to wound.
So I noticed quite towards the end of the game, you were very conservative with your Centurions. You weren't really popping them out to try and remove anything. Was that because you didn't really feel like you needed to take them out of the building to actually do anything and finish off the game? And so you might as well just keep them safe. That's not disrespectful. It's just everything was dead. No, you had 4 models left. Is it a case of it wasn't even worth taking a risk with them?
Yeah, so they couldn't draw line of sight at all, so there was no point bringing them out. They weren't going to be able to shoot the Obliterators, and the Obliterators could then counterpunch them if they did come out. So I might as well keep them there. If you had to bring the Oblitz forward to shoot me, then I could pop them out and counterpunch him. But I didn't need to otherwise. Because
I saw you were looking at it on the last turn when the Obliterators were coming out. You might have been able to get line of sight, but you could only get 1 or 2 left. Do you think there was much you do differently if you played the same matchup again, or do you think you've pretty much got it down?
I mean, the only real challenge, I think, or difference maker is going second. Because going first, I have the real advantage there where I can just drop 2 knights straight away. If I go second, I've got to think a lot more about where everything's positioned and probably drop 2, maybe 3 Whirlwinds. And that makes a big difference to my ability to kill 2 knights in a turn.
Pretty good. Thank you very much, mate. Anything else you want to say, or anything we can find more stuff?
Goonhammer is the best website on the internet. Read that.
Thank you very much, mate. Good to see you, buddy. I'll talk to Richard in a second. See you later, mate. Come back in Richard in a second. Do we want to get him on now, or do we want to get him on later? Come round, buddy. Come on. That was a rough one, mate.
That was
we had a look at that one.
Yeah.
Was it very much a turn 1 thing, or do you think it could have gone that way if you didn't go first yourself?
I'm pretty sure I made a few mistakes that I probably could have deployed better. I think turn 1 did play a big factor because I felt even if I could have went much more. I could have laid off instead of being aggressive. I went in the far corner, but I thought he still had his whole Centurions and the rest of his army to deploy. And if he wanted to, he could have just deployed opposite me and hit the ruins while still pelting me with the whirlwinds. So I thought, same. Might as well try to be.
Do you feel like making your second attachment Alpha Legion would maybe improve your chance in that game? I know obviously you've got a very nice themed army, but it's mainly a case of if you were to have it, you could hide them behind the knights and then cast Conceal and everything on there, and you stay around for a little bit longer. Do you think that's maybe worth it, or do you just like your army as it is?
So I do have some Alpha Legion of Blitz as well. So I have toyed with both. Main issue with the Alpha Legion of Blitz is that they can fluff when you need them to do the damage that you want to do with the shooting. The Iron Warriors, especially with the Demon Smith trait, also makes them accurate against -1 because your 6s do double hits. So I feel like you're investing into the Alpha, but maybe not getting it when you need it, as opposed to the Iron Warriors. And if you're deep striking with them anyway, they are safe until that happens. So I think obviously Alpha Legion gives you more utility. For instance, the fallback with the Derrideos and the deep striking limited to within 12. So I think there's arguments for both, but I just like the power.
And even then, you were relatively safe when you came down. I mean, you came down and killed 3 units in one go. Were you surprised that you managed to completely nail the Mortis and an Intercessor squad when you came down, or are you kind of expecting that kind of damage from your premium unit?
So with the Demon Smith Warlord trait, they're usually pretty good. You should be rolling at least 2 damage with them. Sometimes 3, which is pretty regular when you're doing the reroll, so they usually do that much damage. As long as you don't fluff with a load of 2s when you roll the hits. I think the Blitz are good. They just die very easily once they're on the table because they get targeted out. It was a good day. It was Liam's a good opponent though, so it was quite good fun.
I mean, you're still in a good position. Like you're 3-1. You've still got one more game to go. You got a good shot at podium as well. What do you want to kind of avoid when you play on the next round?
So there's a particular list that I've been practicing with against my mate Terry, who's got the Iron Hands Astraeus. It does. I've beat it once out of like 7 tries, and that was only because I got first turn. I rolled 12 and 11 for the number of thermal cannon shots when I still didn't kill it after all that firepower, but I managed to take it with everything going for me in first turn. Usually I lose to it once it gets going and he buffs it up.
I mean, you've said you've beat it, so I guess you've got a 13% chance, right? So you should be all right. Yeah. I mean, you either win or you don't. It's 50-50. Anything else you'd like to say before we head out to the other game?
Any other lists I'm afraid of?
No.
No, it's a great day. It's been a good tournament. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the interview, mate. I really appreciate that. Good to see you. See you soon. So thank you very much, guys. Those are the interviews from Table 1. We're going to head it back to Table 2 and see how that game is concluding. Back to you guys.
So much to those guys for doing it. We recognise the audio wasn't synced. We actually hadn't prepped, or we weren't going to do interviews over the weekend, but I thought we could not.
We're innovating on the fly.
Yeah, we wanted to interview some of those guys because some of those games are really solid. Right back to Table 2. So what we are looking at is Iron Hands versus Aeldari. At the start of the game, if you've just joined us, the Aeldari had 12 Harlequin Skyweaver jet bikes. They didn't get to go first, and we saw 7 of those 12 deleted in the very first shooting phase. They then moved into the center. They got Twilight Pathwayed across. They tried to take out the Relic Scorpius Whirlwind. They did not. They then charged into another Whirlwind to lock it up, and then they died.
Characters countercharged and gave them a good punch. One survived that, moved into the middle, tried to finish off the Scorpius, but then got heroically intervened and finished off. There was a Shadow Weaver here, I think, which has also perished. We did have a bit of a skirmish in the top right corner and top left corner here, with the early on in turn 1 with the infiltrators advancing forward and trying to beat up some Dire Avengers. They won that fight, but then they got countercharged by some Harlequins, and I believe there's one Dire Avenger hiding behind here. Maybe also one in this corner as well.
Yeah, no, it's been a very interesting back and forth, but now look at that brick of Iron Hands. They are not messing about. They're still to play. The Incarn is in the mix and can still get involved. And points-wise, Jay hasn't got a particularly significant lead. He's 12 up. He's 12-7 against Stu. Stu's still trying to get recon, but he's got almost no units left to achieve that. Big Game Hunter, he was clearly looking to go first, take out those big vehicles. He's not going to get those points either. And behind enemy lines, he might be able to achieve, but I don't think he's going to get any more points on that as well. So secondaries-wise, it's going to be tough. It's going to be easier for him to get kill more now because he's got very few units to get killed on his side. Hold more is going to be difficult for him. So he doesn't have a lot to play with, but he's not giving up the fight. I did hear, while Tom was doing the interviews, did hear a little bit of information from him, and he said that he really was hoping that he was going to be able to keep those jet bikes alive a little bit longer, but obviously that significant volume of output from the Iron Hands is just devastating, and it just seems everyone is falling by the wayside in that situation.
Yeah, and it's I think the line of sight, the artillery pieces are the issue here, because you had the Leviathan and the Dreadnought, you can kind of hide away from them, but you can't hide from the artillery pieces, and Whirlwinds just have an obscene range. So even if you stuck them in the corners, like we suggested Richard do with his knights, they're just going to still reach you. And if you go so far away, you're not going to be effective as well. So you may as well not do that, because if you deploy so defensively that you can't do anything in your turn, it's a wasted turn, effectively.
Agreed. Yeah, very challenging, but also really interesting. Okay, so going into this turn. The Iron Hands, I think it's not the Iron Hands. Oh, we just get an update from our table boss. Are we in the Aeldari turn? Pretty soon. In the Aeldari movement phase.
Just give Coda Paints a shout out, who's just raided us.
Whoa,
Thanks,
Coda
Coda
Paints, thanks for joining, and all 18 people. If you are just, I know, painty people, but if you have just joined us, I want to say
painty people might love. So both armies on display are really, really nice.
Oh yeah, let's do some coverage for the painty people, John.
Yeah, let's have a little zoom in on some painted.
This is what John's all about. Do you want to see some painty things, painty people? The Crumpeter, what up? We'll go find some things. So there's an Incarn, and there was a very nice Harlequin army, but most of it's
been removed.
Most of it's dead. There you go. Look at that.
Solitaire.
He's my guy, the Solitaire. Look at what do the painty people rate the Solitaire as? And look at the basing. Not bad. I really like this. Can we just talk about this? This textured cut-up base. That's
I think
really fun.
both basing are fantastic on both these armies. Like, it looks like Stu has used sort of like cork and flock to create sort of like a ruined rubble city, and both players have gone for that style basing as well.
Yeah, Brinty asked where the Grots are at. So actually the Grots are playing on the bottom table. Grots have not been doing that well at the event, but they don't care, obviously.
They're just having a laugh.
They are having a laugh. And if you're talking about the Grot gang from the Honest War Game, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of you in here, so big up. Show me your emotes from whichever channel you're subscribed to. You're soon going to be able to subscribe to the TSN, which is going to be exciting. I don't know what our emote's going to be, but looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be tSports.
Yeah, tSports.
That's going to be what it is. Hashtag the tSport channel.
That Farsi was really nice. He had like a bit of a star universe pattern painted onto his jet bike. It was pretty cool.
Oh, so the Harlequin squad has moved forward. There's the Farsi. They're playing on the tabletop at the minute, and they're giving the cameras a good shoe-in. But the two intercessors died to fusion pistols. Those fusion pistols 100% wanting to hit those vehicles. So again, great work there by Jay, screening out with those intercessors, keeping them alive. Wow, the chat gang have got some real good emotes. Real good. Obviously, Tristan hitting them up with those chat gangs. Yoda Goodsell, nice. I'm enjoying seeing the Roblin and the Grot gang emote. That's really fun. I haven't ever seen...
Obviously, jet emoji, the best emoji.
Jet emoji is the best emoji all day long, forever and ever. Yeah. I love Twitch. Twitch is the best bit. Like, I love that everyone's watching and hanging out with us.
Yeah, definitely.
So 2 more intercessors have just gone down. There you go. There's a troop. Oh, 2 more wound. Oh, 1 more wound to the intercessors. And then, this troop looking for the charge. That Overwatch is going to be pretty tough. Toughness 3 models. They do have a 4-up invulnerable save. They're almost... I think they're 14 points per model at the minute. They're out. Obviously, you're paying for the invulnerable save.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're paying for. But the problem is they're toughness 3. They've only got a wound each.
Yeah.
And
a lot of units just have so many shots or attacks that...
However,
isn't that valuable.
Oh yes, here it is. The lieutenant versus the solitaire. The solitaire is going to teach him a lesson. Did the solitaire blitz his turn? That's the real question. Did the solitaire blitz? Yeah, because if he did, he's going to get
the Harlequin punchline.
Yeah, is he going to? He did blitz his turn, so that lieutenant is up for a serious joke. Yeah, he's going to have a great time. Yeah, clearly. So he's obviously going to also tag the Whirlwind. And
Yeah, he's got a choice. Who do you want to tag?
What's the Leviathan? Leviathan is not a character, or is a character?
I don't think he's made it a character this time.
No. However, the Solitaire is going to... Solitaire's not brilliant in combat. He can do okay. He's better for assassinating characters like this than he is for taking out vehicles. He can potentially take out vehicles because he's got those 2 special weapons, but is not very likely. But right now, because he's blitzed, he's got 10 attacks.
Also, the Leviathan was made a character and has heroically intervened. I'm not sure why, because I guess he's pretty confident that he's going to try and kill the Solitaire, or at least stop it going into the Whirlwind. But it looks like it's already within an inch. So
yeah, and it might have also changed his mind. But the Solitaire, by the way, has got a 3-up invulnerable save. So if you're just gangster enough to be making the 3-up invulnerable saves, you just roll them out. 3.
Okay, so they're just checking some rules here. The Leviathan is wanting to heroically intervene, but they're just double checking the rules on heroically intervention to see whether you have to go towards the closest or just any. I don't think you have to go towards the closest. That's only piling in and consolidating.
And we don't know where he previously was before he moved it, and that's where we can introduce our brand new live action replay. John, press the button. No, I wish you could have seen his face. We don't have the
freaking out Scrivo there.
We don't have the capacity to do that yet. We're looking to do it in the future. Kind of weird for Warhammer, but it would be fun to do at some point. Let's get a live action replay of that 6.
Slow motion of someone removing the model. Oh no, he's decided to go into the troops.
So he's gone into the troops.
Yeah.
He's made Jimmy Teddy. Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so sorry. They've already decided, Tom. They fixed it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can heroically intervene into whoever you wish, as long as it's within 3. I think moving towards the closest is only really in your piling and consolidate moves. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure why he wants to throw the Leviathan in there anyway. He's only got 2 attacks. I'm not sure what that's adding. I think.
Well, because the problem is the 3-up invuln save, right?
Okay, yes. He just wants as many attacks in there.
You just want as many for him to fail as possible. That's what you really need.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should have got.
I don't feel like these troops are going to survive here because obviously for combat you can get get attacks for every model within an inch of someone in combat. So these intercessors are going to be able to pile in there, and obviously they're going to get 3 attacks each for shock assault, and that'll probably be enough to kill at least 1 or 2 Harlequins, maybe 3. Oh, so we just said the lieutenant has died to the Solitaire, but he's putting the wound dice down.
That's because that's what that man does. Yeah, right. So the Solitaire's narrative is that in a troop that there is only ever one Solitaire, right?
Yes.
Is unique, and it's because his soul is destined. So all the other Harlequins, effectively, so he's not dead. He's not dead because he saved 3 out of 6 feel no pains. A sick joke, if ever there was one. All the Solitaire will do is laugh.
Yeah.
But the Solitaire in a troop or in the Harlequins is the only one who is destined to have their soul eaten by Slanesh. Everyone else, because their patron god is Kegarach, their souls are going to be saved when they die. So obviously the Drukhari never let their souls die by inflicting pain. The Aeldari, they store their souls in Craftworlds and then occasionally create gods of death. That's obviously a mistake. We'll talk about that more in the future. But the Solitaire is genuinely unique in the Aeldari and also in 40k mythos as well, because their soul is destined for purgatory and pain for eternity.
Does that give them any access to chaotic power? Do they channel the power Slanesh?
Well, so they actually wear a Slaneshi mask as part of the troop. But obviously, they've got incredible powers the ability to blitz. They're way more capable. Now, obviously, the Ludo narrative of that is how does that transfer onto the tabletop? They're pretty good.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. Are they as good as they make out? It's questionable. It's questionable. They're not. They can't quite do what a Smash Captain can do, and there's billions of them. Not billions, millions.
Well, there's a lot more recently. I think there's more chapter masters in the room than there should be in the narrative. Right, so there's a lot of red wound dice around, spread out. So what Stu has done, he's spread out a lot of his damage. He's not able to be focused firing on any tanks to wipe them out completely, which is a bit disappointing for Stu.
So we're just hearing that the Troop Master and the Troop were able to take out only one Intercessor, but that gave them enough. So this is in the bottom there. They gave them enough to consolidate into the Scorpius and lock down that Scorpius as well. I really enjoy Stu's game. He is not giving up.
No.
These little units you would think, oh, they're not really going to survive that. He's locking them up in combat. These guys can't fall back and fire. So he's basically neutered his output the next turn. Obviously, you've got some units that are going to be able to attack, but can they even drive out of here? He's going to have to remove him. He's going to have to move him. He can't move that way. He might not be able to move back for his own characters, which is awkward because his characters want to go in and do the fighting. So that micromanagement of this bunker, now you're seeing how it's becoming unwieldy.
Yeah, so you can mess with your opponent with a castle bunker because it can get really messy, like Rob's saying, in this situation where there's enemy units all over the place. It can get a bit tricky manoeuvring your tanks and your characters around, particularly if you can swamp. Like let's say there was orcs, there was swamping of orcs sort of around here in a big sort of string. You can, obviously we've seen a lot of wrap and traps with a unit like this with a tri-point around it. One option you do have, let's say this is a castle, if you can wrap and trap maybe the whole castle, just so units can't reverse out of that block. So that's sort of a macro trap rather than a micro trap. Okay, so again, this lieutenant survived, did a good roll on his Iron Hands DPR saves. But I'd imagine this whirlwind will just come out this way. Oh, so Stu, he's using 3 CP and he's going to fight again. So he really wanted to. He's told the joke to the lieutenant first time. He didn't quite get it, so he's having to retell it. See if he can get him this time.
I hate when you don't get a joke on the first try. Yeah. Never worth it. Although I do find explaining jokes out to be just as funny sometimes. The big piece that we haven't talked about. So we got 9 DPR saves being taken right now on the lieutenant. 9 being taken.
That's too many. Yeah,
he's gone.
There we go.
Finally gets the joke, and the joke is you're dead.
And he's also into the Scorpius as well there.
There we go. So look at that. An incredibly useful piece in the game, in the Aeldari toolkit, that Solitaire. He's incredibly unique. He can pass through units as if they weren't there, pass through scenery as if it's not there. So he can just make an incredible move with those blitz lines and do stuff like that. So, we talked about earlier what can get into those backfields. Clearly the Solitaire.
Yeah, so
I wonder if he shouldn't have blitzed in turn 1. Just put him right at the back of the board, blitzed, and got him in there.
I reckon we'd have seen a completely different game had Stu gone first. Obviously, the Iron Hand player went first, was able to delete quite a lot of the Skyweaver bikes. But had we seen the Aeldari player go first, Stu could have double moved his jet bikes, got in there, blitzed the Solitaire as well, and held up a lot of the shooting turn 1, and that would have kept more of his bikes alive. So I think we would have seen a completely different game had Aeldari gone first.
Yeah. So he's got kill more in that turn. He's got hold more in that turn.
Oh, nice.
No, he's only got kill. He's got a point for kill, and he didn't get kill more. Sorry. And he got a point for recon, like you said. But now in the Iron Hand's turn, look at that. Jay is not shy. He's immediately knows what his tactic is. So he's moved that unit out. He's looking to create that space, as I talked about. But this is the vehicle that's caused an issue. He's trapped in by his own units. He can't drive forward because of those 2 characters, so he's going to have to create room for himself to drive backwards. And then so he's got his own. There you go. He's locked up there. If any of you know, I'm from Nottingham, and Nottingham actually was the most congested city on the planet last week because one of our major arteries into the city, a bridge, it turned out was faulty, and so it took 4 hours to drive a few miles in Nottingham recently, and that's what that feels like right now.
Yes.
Yeah, Nick, you do the commute around there. How's it been? Bad?
Yeah, it's been pretty awful, and I used the Clifton Bridge quite a lot, so I'm pretty glad they're fixing it.
So this is very similar. So as you've seen, he's had to move behind. He had to move his own character to the side. He moved it this way here. So then he drove around but then that means he's got a charge on against Solitaire.
It looks. This is the Solitaire. It looks like we're going to have a pretty epic duel between Ironfather Ferios, Smash Captain, and the Solitaire.
Very, very close. Yeah, it's gonna be a good dust up. Also, the Dreadnought as well is still trapped in combat. I'm assuming that Dreadnought's going to fall out as well. But most of these vehicles can't shoot this turn. No. The Intercessors, I think, can. So I reckon the right choice for them is to take out this to just reduce number of units. Also get some 2 kill points. 1 last for the troop, 1 for the troop master. But 3 can, so probably just try and take out the troop here. That gets him a kill point this turn with his very limited amount. And like we said, the points are very close. Stu is battling it in. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Like from a devastating first turn, he's putting up a good fight. But I think, unfortunately, the weight of units that are still alive for Jay and the Iron Hands is just going to come against him at some point.
Yeah, and I think he's played most of his cards at this point. He's double moved the unit of Skyweavers in. He's blitzed the Solitaire. I think that was the last salvo he had, because the rest of his stuff here, the Yin Khan, 1 more transport and a Skyweaver, a Farseer Skyrunner over there. They're pretty far away and they're not going to be able to do much. Jay has moved back his artillery quite safe into this back corner. So once these threats are dealt with, I'm not sure Stu is going to be able to tag these again, and they're just going to be rain fire down on these units in the last couple of turns to mop up the Eldar army.
Yeah, it's been it's so with only 46 minutes left, there's a unit of Reapers.
Oh, there's a little cheeky unit of 3 Reapers somewhere on the board. We've not heard much from them this game.
No, not at all. I think that they are located here where the Incarn originally was. So the Whirlwind's looking to get that kill point. Obviously, you've also got the Farseer and Jetbike here. The Incarn is still here in play. It's an expensive character that's not. So maybe there's more than we thought. Also, the death of this troop is going to be depending on his activations. If he kills that troop now, that teleport could come in.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be exciting to see.
That puts the Incarn in. And we talked about before, because I know that Stu's got Headhunter.
Does, yeah.
So maybe he's just going to go in and just start whomping around him.
We've got one of them obviously last turn with the lieutenants. That's clearly why that he double fought. Just to secure that headhunter.
I got to say, I love the combo of the Solitaire and the Incarn in the same list. That's 2 units that can get right in their grill where they want to at the right point. Solitaire's still there. He's taken only 1 wound. No, Solitaire's there. He's taken... No, he has. He's taken... 3 wounds. It's a dodgy dice. It's tough to see. So he's taken 3 wounds.
I think he's using wounds.
He's got 2 left. Yeah. And then that means that the Incarn could come in and be amongst all of these. He's got this Chaplain Dread available. The Tech Marine here is available. So there's a lot of character. The Apothecary there is available. So, so the Troop Master, we've just heard from the shooting phase, is dead. When's the Incarn coming in? Stu looks very patient and calm.
Yeah, I think he's going to wait to the last shooting, because what he doesn't want to do is this unit die, then swap the Incarn in, and then there's still some units to shoot left that could kill the Incarn. So he's probably going to wait till the last unit dies to move the Incarn in.
Yes, yeah. We just saw that the Starweaver here got shot at, but it is survived.
Okay, Solitaire's on 3 wounds left, just to let everyone know that. It's going to be. I hope we get to a combat phase with that. The Smash Captain and the Ironfather Ferios. It's just going to be a battle of the 3+ invulnerable saves. If the Solitaire can get lucky, just keep rolling 3+. It might save itself from death. However, any one of those wounds gets through, because the Ironfather Ferios' weapon, I think, is damage 2, and the Smash Captain's obviously toting a Thunderhammer, which is damage 3. So any of those get through the 3+ invulnerable save is going to kill it. But if he just rolls all 3+, he could still get a cheeky swipe back to get another Headhunter.
Can he use the Solitaire to bring the Incarn in? He could potentially. So the 3 Intercessors are firing into that troop. I think that possibly is a bad decision in the activations, because when you bring now with that troop dead and not tons to shoot left, putting the Incarn then in close range might be the right decision.
Yeah. And what I'd have been tempted to do, instead of retreating these back, they can stay in combat, shoot the pistols. You could use these to shoot the Solitaire, and then just use them to charge in, because you get almost as many because the Stalker Bolt rifles, it's only one shot. And they're wounding on 3. They're hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s against the Harlequins. You're getting more shots effectively from combat than you are the Stalker Bolt rifles, giving them more 3+ invulnerable saves to make. So I think making them have more saves is probably better than using the high damage output from the Stalkers in that particular situation.
Unfortunately, we're at the end of the shooting phase and none of those units have died. And so the Solitaire's being charged, so maybe he's going to go for the Solitaire switch up. We'll see.
Various is in. Limped in on a
Limped
3-inch
in on a
charge.
3+. Looking to fight. Look.
Ooh, 3 captives. But the Solitaire's loving this.
This is how good a Solitaire is, though. If he makes those 3 invulnerable saves, then he's just going to stay there. Obnoxious. I mean, yeah, he's obnoxious, and also like he could win him, potentially win him the game if he rolls those 3+. If he doesn't, then
Solitaire's just thinking, ooh, this is 3 headhunter kills right here.
This right here. Just give me some time. I got these kills. He's used his blitz, so he's not going to have as many attacks, but he's still got a lot of attacks. I don't think the Solitaire is armed with anything. He's not got a war. He wasn't the warlord, so he hasn't got.
He's just.
He hasn't got the awesome suit of knives or anything similar, or Kegrach's rose. So he's just going to be a bare bones Solitaire. But they're still brilliant. Makes me want to get mine out.
So he's activated the
Chaplain
first.
I picked it up.
And he's munched
there
him.
It goes. There it goes. There's the late game trade for the triple headhunt. So there we go. So he's in. This is the big.
This is a fantastic play from Stu. If this was intentional, he suck it in. What a play! Suck it in. 3 characters. So he's not going to go hunt them all. He's not going to go and hunt them all individually, one by one, spread out throughout the board. He's got them all in one place, so he can charge in and attack them all. But he probably wants to just go for 2. I don't know which 2 I'd go for. The easiest ones, I would say probably these 2 are the easiest ones, because this got a 3+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, so we're just hearing that 3 Intercessors also charge the troops as well. But the Incarn could pick up those 3 Headhunter points, like you've talked about. That would be a big swing. It's a big play. It's a big late game play. Again, I wonder what would have happened had earlier on had he sent the Solitaire in. Imagine if he sent the Solitaire in the same time he sent in the
Skyweavers.
The Skyweavers, yeah, really disrupted those lines.
But there might have been limited space, because obviously Jay had a big castle there. If he sent the Solitaire in and went deep and tagged as many units as possible, there might not have been space at that point for the Incarn to come in. Because in this situation, Jay's had to spread out, he's pushed forward to go and get recon and get those points, and now there is space for the Incarn to come in.
So Jay in that turn has killed 4 units, so he's definitely going to get. He's got a kill point, but he probably is also going to get killed more as well, depending on what the Incarn does, though. So all that's left for the Aeldari is a Farseer, 2 Dire Avengers, an Incarn, that's all that's left on the table. Kodoichi, I hope that answers how the game is going so far. However, it's only 14-11 when it comes to points, and it looks like at least 3 points could get picked up this turn from Headhunter for Stu. But definitely there's going to be another kill more for Jay. It's probably at this stage, unfortunately, going to go to Jay. That's no bad feels, but at this point I've been.
But we were all rooting for the underdog. We wanted an underdog story here. We've had 2 Space Marine players on the showcase tables, both playing against sort of Chaos and then Eldar. All of us sort of really were rooting for Chaos and Eldar because they're the underdogs currently. But the Marines have just shown why they're on top at the minute.
Agreed. So I'm looking forward to see how Naz combat goes now, because there isn't much. Obviously, if you go to the top down, please, John, as you can see here, that we can see where the Skyweaver goes, whether or not he's going to get amongst it. Look to do some smites. Kodoichi, you go for not Iron Hands, so that would be Crimson Fist there. Seeing it when they decide to get in, like, look at those whirlwinds. They just haven't. None of the big boys have died.
No.
Yeah, the Leviathan's alive, the Whirlwind's alive, the Chaplain Dread's alive. Intercessors have just gone down. It's
And it must be really frustrating for Stu because he picked Big Game Hunter for one of his secondaries. And look, we've got a wound dice here, here, and here. He's kind of like got half Big Game Hunter points. He's done damage to the Whirlwinds, but he's not managed to do enough damage to him to take him off the table to get that point.
However, I've said a lot in this game, and I don't want to keep repeating it, but it could clearly be a game of unrun saves. He could go into this combat, murder a bunch of guys, survive the next shooting phase, which, as I know, if you're listening, is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But he could, and then he is just going to start racking up points as he chops and swaps his way through the army. Don't think it's going to happen, Nick. I think he's put him in too late. I think he should have put him in earlier when there was a whole bunch of other threats in his opponent's army. We talked about this before. We saw this in the Tau game. I think one of the only ways that you might be able to defeat one of these structured bunker armies is really to just put everything in front of them. Because with that long range and direct fire, you're not protecting yourself anyway. Yeah, you're going to take that damage, so just put it all in their face.
Yeah, give them as many targets as possible. So target saturation, give them as many targets as possible so they have to make those decisions.
And maybe they choose the wrong one anyway, but that's not really the point. The point is that they can. There's only a limited amount of output they can do in a turn. Yeah, so just try and make it so that you know, whereas if you give them the turns to keep doing it, you're going to get the work. Well, that Tet Marine's gone down to 1 wound from a cheeky smite. There we go. Not dead yet, though. So Smite and Yunari Smite has taken it down to 1 wound.
So it's Gaze of Yunid.
Oh, the Gaze of Yunid.
And the Smite.
Yeah.
So it looks like...
But not dead. Again, another
one.
one. Like, look at how unlucky he is. I think he's taking over the Relic Scorpius. I think so.
Well, so this is 2 points here, and that's probably... I think he's thinking they're easier points to get than the Chaplain Dread and the Super Tech Marine Furious.
Okay, and also it's really good against vehicles, that Incarn, because it's strength 6, but it rerolls to wound against vehicles.
Okay, nice. High AP and D6 damage as well. So there's 8. It looks like there's 8 wounds left on this Scorpius. So
he's looking to take that Relic Scorpius out as well, especially after the Skyweaver's failed. I think the Incarn, the God of Death, is like, look, you know, he's absorbed their souls. You know, they've died. He's absorbed their souls, and then in his head he's gone, right, okay, yeah, you guys really wanted it dead. I've taken that on emotionally. I can't imagine what taking on someone's soul is like, but I imagine it's something like that. You know, like kind of like in Empath, a lot like Deanna Troi in the Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know, he's just got a strong sense of feeling. Yeah. Anyone a big fan of that show? Anyone? Just me.
The new Picard. Loving that.
Me too. Me too. Okay. Right. Well, not long left in this round. 35 minutes on the table. Don't forget to join us for the next round, obviously. We're going to see the final. It's definitely going to be this Iron Hands army versus the Crimson Fists. Who do you think is going to win? I know everyone is not rooting for Iron Hands. No offence to you, Jay.
Can we go for a bit of a top-down, John? We'll just we'll do a bit of a recap of the game, what happened so far. So Jay kind of deployed in this sort of blob here. We had his Whirlwinds at the back, his Leviathan here, Dreadnought, and then his kind of Intercessors here. He had some Infiltrators up here that went in early against some Dire Avengers over here, but they were sacrificed turn 1. He did remove some Skyweavers of Stu's army turn 1. Stu responded by moving up here and then double moving his Skyweavers over here, trying to shoot the Scorpius, not killing it, but then wrapping a Whirlwind over here. He finished off the Infiltrators over here with Dire Avengers and some Smites and Harlequins. Then he moved into this bunker over here. Then the Solitaire later went in here that we saw, did the work over here and killed a Lieutenant, but then later died, and the Yinkarn swapped in over here and then has popped over here to try and finish off that Scorpius and Tech Marine. The Farseer is still chilling behind this rock. Yeah, so we go down, get into that, lock into that combat again, please, John. As you can see here, Neil in the chat saying that he would have gone for the Dread and Ferios on the charge. So here, and then Ferios won't kill the Incarn, then consolidate around Ferios and end up within an inch of the Scorpius, and then stop it shooting. So being here, obviously you've got that larger base, so being able to place that there. So he is deciding to charge the Tech Marine and the Scorpius.
at the same time, looking for those overwatches. So that's a smart play. They would have locked that up from shooting anyway.
Yeah.
And then he would have got himself to those points, kept himself alive a little bit longer, instead of killing two things and then just being out in the open. I think that's a smart decision. However, Twitch Video says that this is the hero that we didn't deserve, but that you need right now. In Overwatch, he's taken 3 wounds already. That is very upsetting. Okay, so allocating these attacks, looking.
Although the danger is, if he did charge the Chaplain Dreadnought and Ironfather Farius, obviously this Chaplain's toting those las cannons, so if Jay did get lucky, then he could have just taken a couple of d6 damage.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he's going to be unhappy about taking those wounds on the charge there. So there we go. So he's within an inch, and then what he's going to look to do is kill the Scorpius, consolidate in. So very much do as what we were saying similarly. Maybe even trying to get in here. So he's got 4 hits going through. Strength 6, but he's re-rolling. So wound on 5, but re-rolling. 4 wounds. So it's 4d6 damage. The real question is, Nick, is it going to explode and do the mortal wounds?
It's going to pop.
It's 13 wounds. It's dead, but is it going to explode?
Let's say we have an Estrella-style explosion that we had yesterday.
So it's got 16 DPR saves. So it's got those 13 DPR saves to see if it lives. Yeah. That's 4 6s.
That's enough. It's gone.
And he exploded. He exploded, which is not what we wanted, because that boy is going to be mortal wounds in here. It might also get him the Tech Marine, but hopefully he's rolling a 1. So he only took 1 wound. He's only taken 1 wound. That's fantastic.
Pretty good result for Stu.
That's really good. He gets the Tech Marine as well as the bonus. That's fantastic.
Oh, and he's got that Tech Marine. So that's a Headhunter kill right there as well. That's fantastic news.
Oh, so he's only done 1 mortal wound here. He's also going to get this unit of intercessors, so he's going to pick up a load from that explosion. That's swung the game around a lot. That's really fun. Really fun. I love the explode rule. So one of those intercessors has died from the mortal wounds. Yeah, that's right. The explosion combo, the kill combo.
Have you ever had a chain reaction explosion in any of your games?
What, an explosion into an explosion?
Yeah,
I have with Orc trucks. Terrible, terrible time.
Okay, the Whirlwind's having a bit of a drive into the Yinkan.
And he missed.
Unsurprisingly missed.
Okay, so actually that's not gone too bad for the Yinkan. Like, that explosion swung things around a little bit. Picked him up the Tech Marine as well, which is fun. Popped a wound on Ferios up there as well. And a cheeky intercessor. And at this stage, any output is good. Obviously, this is going to move away. The Whirlwind can come in. There's also this. But can I just talk about what he did do, which I think is smart, which we hadn't seen? He could have. He could have gone in here and gone for all these characters, but what he did do, which is really clever, is he came around here, got himself here, but then got himself here into this line of sight blocking terrain, meaning that probably the biggest threat, or the thing that's most likely to take him out, is the Leviathan. Amazing play that we didn't see. Really solid.
And it also means that these characters, if they want to deal with the Yinkan, have got to go there, which is far away from what Stu has left. I think he's got some units here, maybe a Leviathan, Dire Avenger there, and this Skyrunner. But I think what Stu's aim is here...
Look at the points, he's drawn it up, 16-16. That Yinkan's still involved in the scrap.
I think so. Stu's plan, I think, here, he's got behind enemy lines, he's only scored 2 so far, and he's got his Farseer here, scoring those points. So I think what his plan was, kill the Scorpius, kill the Whirlwind, which can shoot things out of line of sight, which would have maybe gone for the Farseer. So I think that's what his plan was long term, to get these 2 points.
Yeah.
Look at this, 16 all.
16 all. It's down to the numbers.
Yeah, still.
It's down to the numbers, and there you go. They're having to move around, just like you said, which is an advantage for him. There's an advantage for him. He's got, if he can survive, I think, had he not taken those wounds on Overwatch, which I think was genuinely very unfortunate. It's always going to happen, but I mean, 3 wounds is quite a lot to have taken, realistically. I think, that was a real big play. And it's put him in a really solid place. Like, it's down to the wire. Getting kill points is going to be tough now for Stu. Getting Not for Stu, for Jay. So Leviathan is looking for line of sight. He's moved. And
So she hid, but not well enough.
has he hid but not well enough? Maybe it was an accidental move there.
It's a very swirly model. I'm sure they'll be able to get some extreme 8th edition line of sight.
Hi, one of my favourite people in the world, Mandolly's in the chat. What is up?
Right.
There isn't much left. You're right. The Aeldari army is battling it out on very few. Got a Eldar Farseer. The Apothecary just healed Ferios. That was great.
Oh.
I like that. So the Apothecary's healing Ferios. Ferios is healing the vehicles. Have you ever been in a massage train, Nick? Yeah, that's what we're experiencing right now. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So he's on the Chaplain Dreadnought, and the Apothecary's behind Ferios.
They're all just healing it. They're just all massaging each other in a forward train.
And the captain's behind the Apothecary telling him,
yeah,
everyone wants it.
Like when I'm not doing coverage at the weekend, I am often in the sauna doing massage train with a bunch of my friends. And it makes us feel really healthy and good.
Don't give away the Honest Wargamer team's team bonding exercises, Rob. They'll give it away to all the other streamers.
Yeah, that's true. Right. So we are now in the shooting phase. Is that correct, Table Boss? Be cool to know.
Looks like it. So that looks like the... I reckon this is the Leviathan. 16 wounds on the recon
okay,
from the
so
Leviathan.
it turned out the Leviathan did have line of sight. That's what's being shot. 16 wounds. Please don't die, the God of Death. You can't die. 16 wounds. Looks like he's failed a bunch of them. I'm not going to lie to you, Nick. These looks like these are DPR saves. That's what he's taken.
10 damage.
10 damage. He needs to pass 6 sixes. 6 sixes. He hasn't got it. That means he's down. That is going to be the end of the game. He's got no points left to do anything.
Looks like we've seen what was dead has died.
So we just heard that. Yeah, had he decided to shoot the intercessors at the Dark Reapers.
Okay, so there's a cheeky Dark Reaper behind this rock. So what the Table Boss is just informing us that there's some good target priority happening here. Had these intercessors killed this Reaper, the Yin Khan here could have teleported to safety behind this rock. So really well spotted by Jay, or was it just pure fluke?
At this point, those activations, I think it's fair to say that those players are playing very well. But, realistically, he doesn't have anything left. He's got nothing left, so it's going to be a win to the Iron Hands, which, to be honest, I hadn't expected the Aeldari to take it as far as they did.
No, Stu did really well going second, taking a big hit in his first turn, losing that big unit of bikes straight away. So I think he really showed that he's got a really good tactical brain in him to take the game that far and keep the scores as even as possible towards the end of the game.
Yeah, it was genuinely close, which is not what happened on Table 1. Table 1 was...
No, that was... was over much quicker. There was 2 knights in a round in the first turn from the Crimson Fists. That was a pretty devastating blow.
It was very close. So it does seem like we're going to go into the final round. We are going to go into that with Iron Hands versus Crimson Fists. It's going to be very fun. We got, it really, as we said at the very beginning of the tournament, Space Marines are going to win.
Yep.
It's just which Space Marines are going to win.
Which flavour.
Which flavour of Space Marines. You guys get to tune in for that. Now, we haven't seen these two bricks fight each other. I'm very excited. It's kind of a mirror match, but then, truthfully, it doesn't really come into... Some of the army rules will be important because it's Iron Hands versus Crimson Fists.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, honestly, about how the players play, how they deploy, how they set up, where those threat ranges are. And ultimately, I think it's going to come down to who goes first.
Yeah, I think it depends on the deployment type. If it's the deployment type that we saw on Table 1, where it was just sort of normal Dawn of War, there's less line of sight blocking terrain in your deployment zone in that sense. But if it's a different deployment type, that could give the players more chance to hide, which could nullify the effects of the first turn in that situation. But again, what we've seen, both players do have lots of artillery for no line of sight shooting. So again, yes, if that has a strong turn, if they go first, they could land the Alpha Strike blow that could win them the game.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to find out. I've had an incredible time here at the Echoes of War 4 in the Element Games. Not Firestorm Games here in Wales. It's been a really good time. The guys that put it on are super sweet dudes. You should come and check them out. And if you are based in Wales or somewhere near Wales and want to drive over, I reckon they'd like some more people to hang out with.
Yeah, it's a fantastic event. So
really, really good. Terrain's fantastic.
Yeah,
Terrain's
really
genuinely excellent. Anyway, Nick, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, Rob, as well.
Thank you for watching. If you have been watching, thank you to our two table bosses, Tom and Tom, and to our tech man, Scrivo. Join us again for the final round. Who knows who's going to win? It's going to be one of those two factions. And lots to play for. Looking forward to it. And we'll see you guys soon. Have a nice day.
Cheers.